afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's another beautiful day of playoffs. Playoffs week has been a scorcher so far. Yesterday's games were insane, and we've got a lower bracket game today to send home the first team, knocking them out of LCO in 4th place. But look, before we get into that discussion, I'm Mac, this is Kitty, we're the fun couch. You don't get an introduction.
Hi, I'm Skimmy.
Debatable.
This is Rusty. This is the Swole Couch.
Oh, yeah?
Bit people only over here.
Show us that lat spread, huh? That's pretty good. All right, I shouldn't have asked for that. I feel a little intimidated now.
He's got the idea down.
I've got to get... I won't ask Kitty to do it yet. I'll teach her, and then I'll get her to come back with the lat spread a little bit later. And Kitty, it's going to be your last day on the LCO for the first split.
Yeah, I just realized as we were talking about this in the studio. Of course, if you want to buy tickets, make sure to do !DreamHack so you make sure you secure your tickets, as we will see you on April the 29th. But yes, it'll be my last day in studio for the first split of LCO 2023. So I'm going to miss you all very dearly, but I am sure that I will see you in person at the DreamHack event.
And when Max turns up tomorrow, we can then check your lat spread against his lat spread, see who's got the more triangular configuration. Either way, look, let's have a look back at yesterday's games before we jump on into today's discussion.
The same moves. They confirm that the Raptors are being done. They look at the bottom lane.
They certainly do look at the bot lane, and Babbitt with an ultimate, Raze with a lightning crash, and a target, and a focus, and a charm that goes wide, and a Moonlight Vigil, which really gets negated as the door goes up. Out of door goes Golden, switches aggro. Don't tell me he gets that alive, Rusty. He does. Unbelievable. Now they turn it around. Kissling with another
Drake up in 20 seconds. Baron already up.
opportunities. Chippy's there buffering unstoppable. In goes Wynot, the most disgusting cyclone. And everybody's knocked up in the air. That's going to be the most beautiful ace. You may just see a perfect one at that, and that is Bliss saying, forget Dragon or Baron, we want to end the game now. With an emphasis on taking down that Dragon.
Why not?
The fight. Appy goes in, massive cyclone, wants to get onto 3 members. Can it kill? Why not? This time they can. The ripping back at the feathers has done its due diligence. Violet's alive, but Lemus is there as well. He's got to ignite, so still kill pressure, but the event horizon splits the fight in half, and then Violet, Liv just slams down on the ground. You can't kill him. He finds a double, another massive cage.
Insane scenes, insane drafts, and insane games of League of Legends were had yesterday, which means we're seeing Bliss and Chiefs going toe-to-toe back in that upper bracket. Sab was already mauled in on Twitter, and I can't wait for tomorrow to see what happens. But that being said, let's have a look at the bracket. With these losses yesterday, Direwolves and PGG are now down in that lower bracket round 1, which is today's game. The last best of 3 before we jump into the best of 5 territory. So there could be a chance that one of these teams is going home with only 2 games played. That is a possibility.
Yeah, I mean, that certainly is possible. One of these teams does have to get eliminated today, Mac, and we will only have 3 teams remaining in the LCO at the conclusion of today's games. And this is very much the exciting part. This is the final pinnacle of the LCO, or at least for the split one. In a very rushed split, it feels like, to see who actually gets to remain. And Bliss being the biggest surprise, I would say, so far.
Yeah, and of course, that upper bracket final will be the first best of 5 on Wednesday. Kitty, you're not going to be here for that, but what do you think is going to happen?
What I think is going to happen, well, Team Bliss, honestly, a very big surprise to watch, and I have been enjoying all of their drafts that they've been cooking as we are in the playoffs. But I think overall, yesterday, we just had a very dominating performance from both Chiefs and Team Bliss, so it could go either way. I know that all the fans are cheering for a 2-1 3-game series, but unfortunately, it was 2-0s all across the board. I am hoping that we also get a 2-1 because we didn't expect all these games to be so quick. We thought, oh, these top 4 teams, all their skills are relatively close. We couldn't really pinpoint on who was first and who was second. But coming into playoffs, well, it kind of seems like that.
Yeah, it certainly does. And I'm really hoping we get a similar affair between Direwolves and PGG today. And that, of course, is going to start at 6 p.m. That is when the game is scheduled to kick off, and I have no idea what we're going to get from either of these teams. You know, Direwolves looking a little bit shaky yesterday, but you can say the same thing for PGG, who looked like they were very much not happy with their performance yesterday. Violet did get props, of course, from the opposing ADC, but props is one thing, but a win is certainly another, and that's what it's going to take to stay alive here in the LCO for the playoffs for both these teams today. Now, that brings us one step closer to the game, one step closer to the action. But I've got my own little bit of action to send you away. Do you guys like maths? Kitty, you like maths, don't you?
Ooh, numbers.
Yeah, I like elementary maths. 1 + 1 = 3.
For you, we have, once again, it's been a minute, it's been a while, the LCO Champion Conundrum!
Is today the day luck's with you? Is it now your life could read you? Then you must play the game, cause I have to proclaim life's a game of chance.
And guess what? I'm hosting today. Look, I don't know if I just made myself deaf. I don't know if I made you guys deaf.
Couldn't decide whether to take the headset off or keep it on.
Yeah.
'Cause it's got noise cancelling in it.
Yeah, either way.
Mr. Mac, can you please pass over a pen before you disqualify me from this LCO champion conundrum?
Of course, of course, of
Thank
course.
you,
Look, it is getting very hard to continually one-up myself on the loudness spectrum going into these.
You don't have to.
But no, I do.
Oh,
It is a
okay.
competition
He
against
does, he does.
myself. You know, who knows
Yeah.
when there might be a point when there is a last LCO champion conundrum.
Oh,
You know,
don't say that.
it
You'll
could
jinx
happen.
it.
It could happen. Otherwise,
What
look,
do you mean, jinx?
Can't do that
we're
again.
doing maths today. We're doing maths today, and Kitty loves maths. But essentially, it is just going to be an inventory shown on screen. You have to try to figure out the price of those, calculate them all, and try to figure out exactly what the inventory's cost is in total. So, on that note, I think we have two organised. Let's jump on into it. You got 30 seconds to do the maths. Guess the price. Let's go.
This
All
is
right.
ARAM.
Oh, so that's one of those that's that.
How much
a
do they?
health pot?
Whoa, bring it
What?
back.
Hey.
Bring it back.
What?
It's a memory game. What do you mean? Come on. I'm pretty sure they're Ionians as well. And I know that sword costs 1,000. So if you put that with the Grievous attachment as a bit of a side note. Kitty, how you doing? Is it looking all right?
It's going good, I think.
Ooh.
No.
No,
Is it?
shot the producers.
I think, I don't know. Ooh.
Ooh, I think I got it.
Ooh.
I think I nailed. Ooh.
Well, guess what, guys? Time is up. Have you done your maths? Have you
Yeah.
done your homework?
Yeah.
I'm feeling
Rusty's
good about this one, Mac.
Confident.
I'm not confident, but I've done it.
Have you added too many zeros or not enough
No,
zeros?
this one.
I forgot the costs of.
I
That's the right
don't know.
amount? Okay. Well, Skimmy's
Oh, no, I'm-
not confident. Let's
Hang
have
on.
a...
Oh, it's gonna change
oh,
right
yeah! Hey!
Done. What?
Disqualified.
Nothing happened.
Done.
No.
Gone.
Might be disqualified.
gone.
No.
Anyway,
Which number's
let's,
which?
let's 3, 2, 1, reveal.
My one's too small.
Is that a 7 or a 9?
Go 9. Go 9.
Go
Go 9.
Go 9?
It's a 9.
4950, 5350, and Kitty's on 4800. But it's 4950. I think Kitty's closest.
Except I'm literally spot on.
You're literally... I see a 7.
I see a 7.
Kitty's 50 gold closer.
I hate this.
I see a 7.
What did you miscalculate?
Berserker Greaves.
Do you think they were 900?
I knew they were 1100. I wrote 900. And then at the last second, I was like, wait, I did the math wrong.
Hey, well,
I won my first guess the.
woo! Yeah,
Guess
Kitty
the
wins.
items.
Kitty
Woo!
wins.
I've overdone the first item,
Yeah,
right?
no, fair enough,
It's
man.
not 1100. It's like
No, no,
900.
it's 950.
When the 30
Yeah, the
seconds is
Aram
up,
item.
I will count to 5.
How could I get it wrong?
No, I
on
don't want
this
to hear
next
it. Just
one.
go
I'm an
again.
Aram.
I will
No,
count
yeah.
to 5 on the
No,
next
it's
one
fine. It's
for
fine.
you to
Whatever, man.
secure your final answer
No, I don't
because
Pens up.
it's all over the place. Either way,
I don't
let's
care.
jump
My pen is
in
up.
to guess the price number 2. Hey, let's see what it is. So that's we got protein shakes, my favorite. We love protein
How much
shakes.
does that cost again?
Gawinsu's blade.
Good question. Man.
Ninja Tabi.
Mikhail's.
The bell. What sounds the bell make, Skimmy?
Ding dong.
All
This is
right.
one hell of a build.
And what, Rusty?
Yo,
what's
there's
that?
no way we only have 30
Rusty,
seconds. I haven't done
no,
the math.
The bottom right one, Rusty. What's
No,
that
no,
do
no, no,
again?
shut up.
No, what's it do? That's really rude, actually, Rusty. 3, 2, 1. Calculate. Now you got 5 seconds to do the final calculation. 5, 4, 3,
Ugh.
2, 1.
I don't know.
30 seconds is short on that, man.
Kitty, you don't look happy. You look inflated. What did you do?
I got told I didn't have time to calculate the rest, so I guessed the answer!
I think it's a pretty close guess.
Yeah,
Either way,
did as well.
right, hold your boards up. 3, 2, 1, reveal. What do we got? How close are we?
This one.
10,000. Ooh, 12,550, 11,50, 12,850. Rusty, I think you've gone bust.
You went over
You've
again.
gone over.
The first one, I correct myself and it just doesn't count even though I'm spot on. The second one, I've gone over.
I'm 1K short. Damn.
I don't need this.
Where are these
I don't need
Are these
this.
miscalculations coming from
I
somewhere?
don't know. I don't know.
Or is it
I
the
was
pressure?
time pressured and I ran out of time, so I guessed.
Skimmy, congratulations on winning number 2.
I hate this game.
We're playing blackjack. You don't go bust.
Whatever, man.
Oh, Rusty's very excited for today's game. And look, that is it.
Don't worry,
For
it's
the
winners pods. You got the
LCO
first one, I get the second one.
champion
Whatever,
conundrum.
man. I didn't
Guess
get the
what, Russ?
first one,
No,
did I?
you did.
It is a good day,
I'll
guys.
give you that
obviously
vote, man.
didn't.
It's just
I'll give you that
chaos.
vote.
It's just absolute chaos going on everywhere. Now, look, that's it from us today. We're going home. See you later. No, I'm joking.
good, bye.
We want to hear from you, though,
Yeah, cool.
from the fans. Today, we've asked for some photo poses because we have this banger right here. See? Little, whoop, takes photos, little Polaroid camera. But we need photo ideas. We need pose ideas. And we've asked you guys to suggest a couple so we can do it live, maybe, or just afterwards, depending on how chaotic and complex they are. But I think we have a couple to look at. Hashtag LCO if you are going to send in those submissions. At LCO on Twitter to jump on over to the post and send in submissions as well. But here we go. A Team Rocket pose would be top tier. Sorry, but someone is going to have to be the fourth wheel. I partially remember. It's like 2 with their back with like, is it fingers up like guns and then like Meowth at the front?
I haven't got a clue.
I feel like that's Charlie's Angels.
I definitely am
With a Meowth.
thinking Charlie's Angels.
Yeah. We can find it. That
Meowth
might be
is
one for after.
definitely in the middle.
Rusty,
And
you
he
wanna,
does the little,
you wanna
like,
pull this
gamer
post up real
pose?
quick?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The classic gamer pose. Yeah, you can't get that one wrong.
Rusty's
Yeah.
gonna
Just Google
Rusty,
Team Rocket pose.
He's getting the
because
source
you are
code.
getting the picture up. Us 3 will do the pose. You just have to
Ooh,
orchestrate
which
it. Okay.
one? Oh my god,
Oh.
there's options.
Ooh, there's
Hang on.
options. That's
Hold
not good.
on, you didn't just search for
Yeah,
photos,
yeah,
did you,
yeah,
on
yeah.
Google?
But Rusty, you'll also have to take the photo. Okay, so
That's fine.
that's the downside.
He's loving this.
Do I get to pick
Who's
the
Jesse? Who's James? And who's Meow?
one? Can I pick the pose?
Yes.
Or am I copying? 'cause
Surely
it's on
Kitty's
Twitter, right?
Meowth, because she's literally
Oh, do
Kitty.
do the
I'm
do the
Meowth,
one from
guys.
Twitter.
Oh, yeah, okay.
It's got to be really quick. You got about 10 seconds.
Wait, now?
Right
Oh,
now.
Now,
Right.
After
Meow.
the show. All right, I wanted.
I was not
I
ready.
wanted to do
We're
it now.
locked in.
That's why I thought you would do it.
We're locked in.
Take the headsets off. No one needs that.
Either way, we've got another one to have a look at. We will
After the games.
We'll do it in between the games and then try to post them online so you guys can see them. Or if we're running ahead of time, we might be able to make it happen. Either way, handstand, piggyback ride, talent doing YMCA. That's 3 different ones. Handstand, I would have had that covered if my shoulder wasn't cooked.
Relatable.
Skimmy, how's your handstand?
Look, I've never done one in my life, so that's a broken back already.
Can I jump
Piggyback
on
ride,
your,
I could
jump on
probably
your back?
hop on.
You want to hop on?
Yeah.
You don't want to give me a hit piggyback?
Look, you'd probably kill me.
Wow.
Why don't we just have
I'm not that
Kitty
heavy.
and
You're
Skimmy do
so
piggybacks?
slow.
Oh.
We just have Kitty and Skimmy do a piggyback.
Yeah.
I'm wearing a dress. I can't be the one piggyback.
True.
Skimmy can't be
Skimmy, would
the
you
one on
crush
top.
Kitty?
I will die. This
Yeah,
is a
I feel like-
this is a
Yeah, true.
cycle
True.
of dying.
We haven't thought
Kitty
this
carries
through.
Mac.
Thank you for those submissions. We will get to them eventually, but it is time to talk about the game. The first elimination here in the playoffs. Direwolves, you're up to the plate. And what have they got for us against PGG? Because, look, Chaz was smurfing yesterday, but he felt like maybe the only person that was playing his A game.
Yeah, Chaz was really, really good yesterday. It felt like there was moments from Direwolves where they were keeping up, but when all said and done, they just didn't seem like they were the same team that we've seen from them in the past. Even the week prior, though, right? They had 4 weeks off. They came in, they got 0-2. They were shaky. They then beat, I believe it was Mammoth 2-0.
Yeah.
And then they got the 2-1 against Pensinet again afterwards. But it takes so much time, it felt like for them to ramp up. And you can't do that in a format like this. You have to show up and be good every single time.
And I feel
Certainly
like
do.
with Dials taking that 1 week off, all the rest of the playoff teams really figured out Dials' playstyle. With all the interviews that we've had with the players, they say that every single time.
Yeah, and I'd say the biggest thing for me was a monumental gap in the top and jungle. I mean, they had 11 kills or 11 deaths, 12 deaths. Zoranus and Poltron certainly needed to try and find a little bit of form because they were handled by Biopanther and Babbitt. But jumping into the second team, obviously, PGG, I mean, this for me is the decider, right? It's the 1-to-1 head-to-head they've had in this best of 3. PGG have obviously found a few more games in the amount of times they've gone up against one another. And they've shown a bit of a predictability. I almost want to say a tendency to try and go towards this Lee Sin and find aggression. I'm very curious to see really what their approach is today to get themselves across that finishing line.
Have we only seen Schoenfire play 2 champs this whole split so far?
He's played Wukong.
Oh, he's played more. He's played more.
He has? He played a little bit of Wukong?
He was a free champ handy for such a long time. He said, oh, watch this. Here's Lee Sin. Hey, what about Elise?
My biggest worry with Lee Sin right now is that there's so many counters like the Gragas, like the Vega that can go either AD or mid lane. There's just a lot of answers to this Lee Sin pick. So even Vi, I mean, there is just a lot of crowd control coming into this new meta and all these champions with so much variety. But my biggest concern for PGG is that they were caught extremely off guard against Team Bliss. They put out something like the Yasuo, they put out something like the Alawi, where I think when it does come to the drafting, Chippies needs to have that counter pick. He needs to have a hard winning lane, or he even looks shaky when it does come to an even matchup.
For your reference, Mac, as well, since played stage 2 of the LCO, Schoenfire has played 6 games of Lee Sin, which is 2 times more all of his other champions combined. So
including Vi? Because everyone started to ban Vi
6
against
Lee
him,
Sin,
right?
2 Vi, 1 Wukong.
Vi kept getting banned.
Yeah, that's a pretty small champ pool at the moment. I'm sure he's got more up his sleeves, but I don't know if we're going to see it. Like, obviously he's been putting in a lot of work with the Lee Sin. Yesterday, that didn't quite work as intended, going up against the Veigar.
Watch him lock in Gragas jungle. It's going to happen.
You reckon?
Surely.
PGG feels like, from what we've seen in their last couple of games, they haven't actually put too much prio on that Gragas. And when they did get it, I don't think it worked out well. I think Dongy had to play it one game in mid, and it didn't
I think Chippies just played it into the Gnar matchup, right? I think there was like that one series where they kind of just hand shook and said like,
maybe in the other series,
we'll
yeah.
play the matchup, now I'll play the matchup. Who plays it better?
But it feels like they don't excel. I don't know if they've won with the Gragas, which so it could just be like a bait pick, even though it is a meta pick at the moment. Maybe they need to lean back towards those comfort champs again. I feel like that might be the way to go.
For Pensnet, I feel like the thing is they kind of always pick comfort. That's the weird part about their roster overall, right? Like, I think for me, they should also consider diversifying what that comfort is. Like, if Schoenfire's only playing the Lee Sin, there's definitely times where you want other champions. The Wukong you've seen from Bliss as well, at times is invaluable for the team. So you might want to consider when things could be better.
Now, let's have a quick look back at the last time, or not the last time these two teams played, but week 1, or day 1 of last week in the group stage when Direwolves got knocked down before they had to play Mammoth.
Yeah, I mean, just looking at the 2 drafts, I believe Chaz was put on 2 utility champions, but we know how important Chaz is when it comes to the team identity of Dials, where he needs to be on something that scales into the late game and can carry 1v9 style, where obviously the results were 0-2 in PGG's favor, and the drafts really reflect that. I believe the Gragas was a first pick blue side every single time, and it was always flexed towards top, where even in the hands of Zoranus, it didn't work too well, as he kind of just fell flat. And I feel like Zoranus in his previous performances, other than the Gnar, which was completely outplayed by Biopan in every single team fight, his performances on other champions have been kind of lacking.
Remember, it was the Annie first pick, remember? Because we had the complete polar opposites of Chaz playing it, looking a little bit timid, and then suddenly Dongy comes out, blast coming over and just like smurfing with it. So I think Annie's certainly another pick that could be hotly contested. I think this series really was summed up by Zoranus looking a little bit shaken that Gregos was missing a lot of those ultimates. And you're saying, look, put him on something like the Gnar, right? That's definitely his bread and butter.
Now, have a quick stock take of those KDAs, especially on the sides of PGG. You got Dongy and Violet just looking like they're turbo smurfing with those KDs. But let's jump into the next time these guys played, where Direwolves brought their A game, managed to get that W in a 2-1 fashion. But look at how these KDs have shifted. It's much more even going into this rematch.
Yeah, and one of the biggest changes here, one of the biggest adaptations Direwolves made between the 2 days that they had is Chaz had a lot more agency in mid lane. He had a lot more scaling on the champions that he chose to play as well, and was more of a factor when it came to those team fights. And I feel like they also reintroduced the Gnar for Zoranus and the Sejuani for Poltrons. This is like the first day of them refinding a style that they're really comfortable with. Game number 2, they kind of threw that style away for just a second there as well.
They forgore.
Well, yes, thank you, Kitty. And then game 3, they brought it back.
Yeah, well, they definitely brought it back, but I think when it does come to the Dials vs PGG matchup, it is quite literally Chaz versus Violet. And how many champions do you have in that mid lane pool? Because we know that Chaz has this one playstyle that he really enjoys, which is the late game scaling mages. However, if you take away some of those champions, if you just close out the banning phase, if you look at Violet's champion pool and how many ADCs are viable right now, I mean, there is a selection and they're all equally as good. So I'm getting a little bit worried depending on how they approach the drafting phase.
And look, speaking of that, Kitty, this is the ADC champ pool for both the ADCs that are playing today. Praedyth, not quite as large from the games played so far, whereas Violet seems to be... Look, overall, I'm just taking stock of the KDAs. Violet's looking like he's taking this every day of the week. Still a perfect KDA, hasn't actually died on the Kai'Sa yet.
Yeah, the one change here through the champions played is the addition of that Kai'Sa, right? Kai'Sa Leona, something that I think a lot more teams could consider. The Aphelios is being very much a prolific choice for Praedyth, and in regards to his win rate, they're not playing it with supportive champions. They are still playing it with things like the Nautilus and looking for plays. So in losing games, it's very hard to stay alive. Where Violet, on the other side, is actually so good at dealing damage and min-maxing even in losing game states that he's constantly been a threat even in those losses. So, you know, 0 win rate on the Xayah, but I still remember both of those games because he was such a large factor in them.
Yeah, big roots, just farming, you know, absolutely making it work. And Praedyth as well, I noticed he's got 100% win rate on that Jerry, sorry. Look, and do we need to see a bit more of that from him? Because it feels like he's definitely like leaning into the Aphelios. Maybe that's the comfort that he's used to. But yesterday, it just didn't seem to be clicking.
It really didn't seem to be clicking, but we can ask that to Mr. Poltron, who we have on the other side of this interview. Welcome to the Losers Bracket Finals, as we are... It's not finals, Losers Bracket, I'm so sorry. But obviously, you guys had a pretty devastating performance up against Chiefs. And what were your takeaways from the drafting phase? Because this blind first pick Sejuani really confused a lot of us on the couch.
I don't think the draft was the main issue for us yesterday. I think we didn't play well as a team. I think Chaz was the only player who played up to his level and everyone else just had a really off day. I think game 2 yesterday was probably my personal worst game this split. I'll blame that on the Hex Gates. I got a bit distracted. You know how it is. But yeah, feeling good today. I think it's going to be a close game, close series against Pentanet. We'll probably go to 3 games, but ideally we can make it a clean 2-0, play on form today, and yeah, get the dub.
Okay, now, are we expecting there to be more Gragas? Because I'm going back to that first time you guys played in the group stage, and I noticed that Zoranus sent that Gragas pick towards the top a couple of times, and it didn't have too much impact. It feels like Zoranus needs to be playing, as you mentioned, up to par, but surely you slide the draft a little bit more his favored, maybe save that counter pick for him?
I mean, our first best of 3 against Pentanet obviously wasn't great. We lost 2-0. I think we B1 Gragas both games. I'm not too sure, but at least one of them we did. I think the Gragas pick itself wasn't really the issue. Probably not the best pick for Zoranus, so maybe we'll shift away from the Gragas today. Maybe we'll still play it. I'm not going to say too much, obviously. But yeah, we're red side game 1. Pretty confident we'll win it, so we'll see how it goes anyway.
Bit of a leaky deaky, as we don't know that you guys have chosen red, but it is okay because a lot of these teams do have a hard preference towards red. But I guess my last question is that we have seen a lot of, well, we've heard a lot of people voicing their I guess, opinions on Dials and how they've pretty much read the entire playstyle of your team. So do you think this is true, or do you guys still have something up your sleeve?
You'll find out tonight. That's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say.
Shaco.
Yep.
That means Shaco. That's all I heard. Now, either way, look, Poltron, we'll let you go. Enjoy the game today. Good luck, because you're going to need it.
Thank you.
I didn't mean that in a negative sense. I'm just saying, you know, PGG are looking formidable at the moment, you know?
We're not the ones who need to say that too, mate.
Hey,
What's interesting, though, is, like, you know, we usually have, like, the very happy or the very confident, almost like borderline cocky interviews, but that one was very humble, very much like, I respect them. You know, we are 1-1 in this head-to-head. This is that elimination game. We feel like, you know, we came in with the rank 1 seed. This means a lot. We really need to make it matter right now, and I think that's a fair call, because it certainly has been a case of seeing Chaz 1v9, but the rest of the team Now you've had 24 hours to try and shake it off and bounce back.
Shake it off. Shaco it off, maybe.
Go on.
How's Shaco on the meta right now? Because I remember at the start of the year, it was around.
Shaco has not changed in the meta in 8 years.
But he got a buff. He got a buff.
And I love that for him. I do. I hope that he's happy with it.
Okay.
And he stays out of competitive.
Well, look, someone that also probably hopes Shaco stays out of competitive is Violet, and we've got him here for the pre-game. Mate, how are you feeling going into this one? Your KD's immaculate. Your performance yesterday was almost flawless, but it still wasn't enough for that win.
I mean, I'm feeling pretty confident as per usual. I just don't see how their bot lane can do anything to us. So as long as I play my own game, everything should be fine.
Ooh, a lot of confidence coming out of Violent. The usual, to be honest. I mean,
Expected, yeah.
from performance so far, you are the best performing ADC that we've seen in the LCO. But my question throws it back to yesterday for your series up against Team Bliss, where we've seen a bit of a unexpected draft as they had both the Yasuo and the Alawi. So do you think something like this caught you guys off guard and you guys weren't prepared for it?
Yeah, honestly, we were kind of surprised, but I mean, we watched a lot of the team fighting back, and we actually just played pretty horrendously. Like game one, like they pretty much just had like a gold clash game draft. They just picked R buttons like full dive, and if we had played that game properly, we should have been able to win. But I mean, they played better than us in that day, so I don't think it really mattered what comp they ran because our team fighting was just horrendous yesterday. So.
Okay, well, we'll see if you guys have cleaned it up moving into today's game. Now, going up against Direwolves, it feels like, you know, you guys have just been playing each other for the last couple of weeks now. Now, has that given you a good amount of insight into this one? Do you think that being a little bit later in the day, Praedyth might fire up a little bit more? Or do you think you've still got him no matter what?
I mean, I watched some of their games, and I mean, it looks like he's been just running it down every single game. So I don't see why today would be any different. I'm gonna make sure I gap their bot lane again today.
Well, talking about the previous games, I mean, you guys are currently 1-1 in terms of best of 3 series, so this will be your third. Hoping you guys will break that tie. But my next question is that Chaz has really been the shining light of Direwolves, and he has been the main carry, while for your sake, PG, you have been the main carry. So do you think there'll be a bit of a difference when it comes to a hyper-fed mid laner compared to a hyper-fed ADC?
Not really. Honestly, when I watch the games, he just AFKs to like 20 minutes and just team fights, and the enemy team fucks up and he gets like a couple free kills. I mean, I just don't think that team does anything besides roll over early game and wait till like 20-30 minutes. So I'm not too worried about anyone on their team.
Well, confidence is definitely oozing for you today, isn't it, Violet? Look, we'll let you go. Enjoy the game and good luck.
Thank you.
Always good to have a quick chin wag with
Lord, man.
Ultraviolet.
Yes. He is not taking any prisoners today. He came in, just doesn't even think there's any chance they lose. That's what you're hearing in that interview. Every answer was like, I mean, obviously they just are good
I think
enough.
it's fair though. I think it is fair because you were looking at the stats beforehand, right? The comparison between both Violet and Praedyth, and it is a bit of a canyon. Like there's a bit of a massive divide.
Is it fair when the last time they played each other, Direwolves won by doing the things that he's not worried about? That's all. Like if it's not an issue because they just roll over and scale, why did they lose to an Aurelion soul scaling last time?
Hey,
that's all I'm saying.
Ain't that the truth?
That's just
Well,
happened.
they'll get blue side, so of course we know that because the side select was leaked, but just to confirm, of course it is going to be Direwolves picking red side, which is different to what we saw from them yesterday. Of course, you know, people were saying, why are they saving that B1 pick for what they ended up picking?
I have an actual theory for it this time instead of just saying, oh, someone's going to get counterpick. My theory is Pentanet on both blue and red side yesterday banned away Caitlyn and Ashe instead of threatening the pick and forcing red side to ban those champions. So if you're Direwolves, you're not worried about first picking those champions, and you're also not worried about them going for target bans on blue side because they are still banning Caitlyn and Ashe. So you can go red side, have target bans. They do the hard work for you in the ban phase, and then you still get the counter pick.
Well, Champ Select's not too far away, so we'll see how your theory goes. But for the moment, you guys, you got Twitch points, huh? You want to use them, huh? I'm sure you do. Look, sorry, that was a bit aggressive. But there's a button there to put all your aggression into. I've got a lot of aggression, but you put your aggression into the button pressing, then put your Twitch points in, and then you figure things out. And we're trying to figure it out as well. because on the front page, me and Kitty are aligned with the 2-0. Feeling PGG today. Skimmy, you've gone for the 2-1. Let's jump on to page number 2. We got Rusty 2-0.
Wow.
We're all PGG.
That's hectic.
I don't know. Am I surprised? Are you guys surprised?
I
Should
mean,
I be surprised?
Rusty was in talking during the break, and he was just saying, how does Dials win? Because they are currently on a 2-series loss streak,
Yeah.
and they did not look good in any of the losses.
2-game loss. 1 series, right? They beat PGG.
I mean, just yesterday's form alone, it felt like Pensanet
Yeah.
had more signs of life. They had more fight in them. It's just how it felt, right? And I know that this is like, our predictions all feel like we're just reacting to yesterday, but it has only been 1 day, right? So I think that's a fair form check, and Direwolves have to probably find a new spark within them. Praedyth has to go crazy to be able to bring it back and go toe-to-toe with Violet, or Zoranus needs to be a hard carry champion if they want any shot, I think.
Champion select is ready.
It's time for game.
A little bit of a weird blue screen moment there. They weren't ready. Surprise. Look at the band.
Here we go. Alrighty, so PGG on the left-hand side going to start off with a Wukong. You were mentioning this could be a bit of a crucial pick, perhaps something a little bit inspired after Why Not showcase just how strong that pick was against them. Instant response from Direwolves is the Gragas as well as the Xayah. And I feel like we're just going to continue to see more and more Xayah locked in that first rotation. Just so strong.
And the first thing that I said just before Champion Select Skim in regards to bans, Pensanet not going to consider the Caitlyn a pick. They're not going to consider the Ashe a pick. Just like yesterday, they're going to ban those 2 champions. No one else is forced into banning these on blue side. It feels like it's a Pensanet specific thing. Just quickly going through the picks and bans here as well. Wukong, obviously, you've just highlighted this one. The Gragas response, Direwolves are going to flex that one. Zoranus said wait and see. Well, we've seen the Gragas once again. The question is, does it go to Chaz's hands? Does it go to Decoy? Does it go to Poltron? Or Zoranus, who Zoranus had the most muted series against Pensanet when he was on this pick.
I would say so. Yeah, definitely has found his most comfort on the likes of a Jax as well as a Gnar. So we'd love to see that Gragas flexed elsewhere. But the response nice and early is, well, that is the difference between us, says Violet to Praedyth. I do play the Kaiser. I will lock it in with Leona. We will have a ton of damage. And I would love to see that one scale up and almost become like Gala-esque, where you're just jumping in 2 times speed, getting pentakills.
Wouldn't that be nice? So I certainly think that Violet has the mechanics to get it done, but needs to have the game state to enable that as well. Third pick here for the side of the Direwolves is going to be the Ahri, so it's settling themselves into what feels like it's going to be a pick composition, where you see an Ahri, Vi and Sejuani taken off the board, Wukong not going to be there as well. I still think in reality you are looking for some kind of physical damage jungler to go with that. I don't know if Poltron plays Lee Sin, and I think all of the other physical damage has been removed from the jungle champion pool, except for like a Trundle, maybe. Just in terms of Poltron's champion.
He locks in Poppy.
I mean, exactly. That's the thing.
That is the Poltron special. We played it religiously, relentlessly last year. Every single time of all the engagement, we had Jarvans, Wukongs, the likes of it. It was being slam locked in like you would not believe, but it would mean that you'd need more engage elsewhere. At the moment, obviously, you've got a Gragas and an Ahri to try and find those picks and those engages, so I don't mind it too much. Jax denied away, as well as the Talia, which is curious because we've yet to see Dongi play it, but we thought that would be a champion that would love to see more mid laners start to pick up.
Yeah, and I think this is actually banned from him yesterday as well, because we were talking about how good it would be for them against the the many dashes that exist in the opponent composition, and it's true again in this one, isn't it?
Yeah.
Rakan actually going to be taken off here as well, so a little bit more focus towards the support champion pool, knowing the Xayah is there. It's just kind of a fair ban anyway. Leona actually is one of those champions that has always been seen as really good into Rakan. So that does pique my interest as to why they would choose to ban that one when perhaps it's just an even lane and they'd be comfortable. As Braum is going to be the lock-in here for Decoy. I don't mind that at all. A good defensive champion that lets the Xayah scale. It's just double weak. This feels like double weak side bot lane, almost in the Xayah Braum, that Zoranus can now 5th pick a carry. That's how this comp feels to me for Direwolves.
Yeah, I wouldn't be too surprised by that, and I would actually quite enjoy it, as instant lock-in here is going to be the Lissandra from PGG, so they're all about the team fight right now. They know that if they find one kill, it explodes into life and it will snowball out of control. But how do they round this composition out? Chippies will have to go for that blind pick. We'll have to find a way to try and say, if you are going to play a carry Zoranus, what do I want to play into it? Still, could go for the Gnar if he wants to take that blind, but just says Renekton. Let's be aggressive.
Renekton the lock-in. Okay, so Direwolves have all of the information that they could possibly need. Gragas still flexible between top and jungle. We just spoke about the jungle champion pool being thinned out a little bit. This is one of those worlds where Yone is like a top champion, becomes an angle. I don't think it's great matchup, perhaps, right? But he gets to see the Renekton and choose his champion. I think that's the easiest way to add physical damage to the comp overall. So they are going to go for the 5th pick of Gnar for top lane. They're going to add a bit of carry threat from Zoranus. It's not going to be his Gragas, where he was pretty much nullified in the last series against Pentanet.gg. And that does put Poltron on the Graggy.
He'd be looking for a bit of a redemption as well, right? Because at least yesterday, Bipanther completely handled his Gnar. So many opportunities for him to find those massive ultimates, always locked in place. Obviously, the Renekton can do it to a similar degree, maybe not as to the extent perhaps of a Cassante, but certainly will be a case of locking down that Gnar, making sure that factor is removed, and putting the onus once again on sort of Chaz, and really hoping that the Direwolves bot lane can rise to the occasion.
And they're going to have to, right? It certainly is something that even on a weak side, even if they're not being protected, whatever the answer may be from the Direwolves here, they still have to rise to the occasion, because I think those are the two people that we come in as LCO viewers and have the highest expectations versus results towards, right? We have seen so many great things from Praedyth and Decoy in the past, and so we're expecting that greatness. And this is a do or die moment. This is a clutch best of 5 series. One of these a best of 3 series. One of these teams goes home after this and is no longer in split 1 of the LCO. So you have to show up in your best form today. Chaz recently tweeted just before they went live that he's going to hard carry. This is the best series he's going to play in his life. He's going to hard carry this one. He believes in himself. Direwolves definitely believe in themselves, but now we need to see those results, because Pentanet, I still think, come into this one as favourites.
And I think for good reason too, because Chaz certainly has shown that despite that loss last night, he was in peak performance. He is certainly going to have to rally the troops and get them into that mindset that we need to get it done here today. They've had 2 best of 3s. The first went the way of PGG with a crushing 2-0 defeat. But then the redemption only a couple of days later, as it went all the way to a game 3 where Direwolves closing it out with that 5th pick, Aurelion Sol. Will the drama conclude again in this one? One final best of 3 to settle the score and to send one team home in 4th position. Let's load into the Rift and find out how this all plays out.
So a couple of things that are interesting to me, Skimmy, as we hop into this one. Number one, Direwolves side, it's not hard scaling through mid. Ari can scale, but is more of a likes getting priority and likes roaming around the map, right? It does have, I guess, some opportunity to gank those side lanes, but the thing with the Direwolves composition is, besides the Ari charm, they don't have crowd control that is instant, right? You've got like a Braum ultimate, a Gnar ultimate when he's in Mega. Yeah, Gragas Cask is a form of crowd control. It's not as simple as Lissandra pressing stun, Leona pressing stun, or Renekton pressing the stun button and it hitting. So a lot harder in regards to that execution on the Direwolves side, a lot more finesse required. So Chaz actually going to have a very important role, it feels like to me, in controlling the mid-wave and roaming around the Rift, trying to have an impact. Because the other thing I want to highlight is, as we've just kind of alluded towards, the Pentanet composition, so good early. 3 lanes to gank for if you're shown via. Every lane's an option. All of them can have push, can have prio, or they can just sit back and be a gank threat that your opponents and Direwolves have to deal with. So I think the map is shown via his Oyster, and it's just how he wants to path.
We'll have CC as well, right, to complement the fact that the Wukong will have a lot of damage early on as well. So certainly going to be curious to keep an eye on exactly what that pathing looks like and where he does place the majority of his attention towards. I will say, though, nobody's played this Gnar pick more than Zoranus. This is his 8th game now. Nobody's even close. So if you're talking about comfort, if that really is the name of the game for Direwolves in this series to try and come back and make sure that that first seed wasn't a fluke, then hopefully feeling a little bit inspired about that one being locked in here.
Direwolves finishing the first round robin as our first seed, have just immediately lost multiple best of 3 series once we transition to this format. So certainly needing to rise to the occasion. Both teams saw after a 0-2 defeat yesterday. Big point to prove and statement game to be made in game number 1 for both respective squads.
And one thing I was curious about, now obviously it's not really going to make too much sense when you're playing blue side like this, but I know Chippies loves to play the Aurelia. I've always quite enjoyed the Aurelia matchup into the Nara as well. And if you know that
Yeah,
Zoranus
yeah.
is that predictable, then there's surely a world in which you can just go for that with the red side, because we have seen them always save red side counterpick for their top laners.
We might have to hold a conversation on champion pool depending on how these champions play. Shenfire threatening the top dive.
Certainly is. That's going to be Chippy starting things off right now, slicing and dicing in, putting as much damage as he can down. Zoranus might actually get a sneaky kill here. Needs a flash, and he finds it.
And he hits
so
Mega.
he'll get first blood gold. Ticks over to Mega. Buys precious time with an extra bit of HP, but Shenfire surely has enough left in the tank. Yes, he does. Makes it a 1-for-1. Zoranus at least gets the first blood gold.
I mean, that's best case scenario for Zoranus. He could not have played it better than the way that he did in mini form to get the hyper procs off to maximize his damage output. Poltron spotted by not just one, but 2 wards now on the bottom side of the map, so knows that they're not going to get dove down here, is Pensnet. But at the end of the day, Summoner Spells traded top lane, volatile matchup, but Zoranus prospers. His wave as well was in the perfect position at the time that he died. Can't ask for more.
No. Forces out the TP from both, however, but they return to lane to continue the fight. But a great start, even if it was to be a 1v2 situation. Let's see then, on the opposite side, what Poltron decides to do. He's going to take that opportunity to do a bit of counter jungling while Shenfire actually pops his head back to top lane.
Is 60%, 70% of the way to Mega now. Teleport going to be used? I'm not even sure they would have killed him without it.
Force the TP. Dongy was on the rotate, and Chaz lagging behind feels the necessity that has to be burnt.
Yeah, I mean, it's good from Pensnet, and specifically in regards to the Lissandra coming up, that is why Chaz teleports early. I don't think Zoranus would have felt threatened in a 1v2, but they also didn't know how far behind the Wukong the Lissandra was. So the interesting thing about that little transaction is Wukong just shows and kind of threatens that behind this wall is a Lissandra. They respect teleport, and Dongy's just able to go back mid, clear the wave, and recall for free, where Decoy now has to come mid to tank this wave to make sure that Chaz gets to collect.
And nothing was lost actually even before that, because Poltron, having invaded those Raptors, was able to shove that wave in whilst Dongy was returning from top to mid. So ultimately it is all just a case of everyone playing a little bit of tax to make sure they look after their star in the mid lane. He's back here now. He's able to continue to be a bit of a menace. So Dongy's spent the TP. Difference he'll have, however, is the unsealed spellbook, so can switch that one out. Certainly have seen our fair share globally of the Lissandra smite steals, especially on Baron.
Yeah. So far, I feel like all we've seen from Poltron is he walks towards the lane, gets into the tri-bush, is on a ward, and then goes back.
Yeah.
He's done that twice in a row now. Not really finding any angles or opportunities to have a real impact in the game state presently.
The divide there, split right down the middle once again. Another series where he was conflicted as to who really is the favourite.
Zoranus could ult here, if nothing else, just for the damage.
He could, but Shenfire's not too far behind right now, so Chippy's is baiting in and turns around with a Dominus Blast Cone in. That's a one-man shove. Shenfire looking for it, but only level 4, so can't lock him in with any sustainable CC. Had damage, just needed time.
And the Wukong being just around the corner definitely equalizes that trade, if not heavily favoring the side of Pensnet now. You can see Demolish procs are there, wave going to be missed. No teleport available for Zoranus. And what was a nice little pressure play, perhaps, from this Meganar, just immediately gets diffused and results in a lot of gold going into the hands of Pensnet. Now, this does still mean an objective goes the way of Dials. You're seeing them take the Drake, but it is one of those feelings where right now, does the Drake mean anything versus all of that money going to the hands of Chippies? It equalizes that kill top lane. And Shenfire has that kill money himself, so kind of bring the game back to being in a good position overall at the cost of one Drake.
Certainly does. Chippies can just return back to this lane and not feel like he's missed too much about it as well, so going to be in a very happy state. We get the chance to check in with the bot lane as well, and no real aggression to be spoken about just yet. Usually it feels like those summoners are on cooldown from the very get-go, but not this time. You've got to be ever so careful as Appy, right? One wrong overextension with the Zenith Blade, you get punished heavily by those concussive blows.
Yeah, you always have to be very careful playing the melee supports into the Braum matchup. Braum, if he has Q and auto attack, you're already halfway to being stunned yourself and really stuck in place taking bonus damage as well.
Yeah.
It locks you in. And most supports, now I kind of mentioned this yesterday, but most supports don't go Aftershock anymore. Most of them will just have that Glacial Augment instead. Leona, one of the few exceptions, which is why I really like Leona as a pick still, where she can still have resistances. You know, Nautilus goes in, hits a hook, not a tank. Not an Aftershock tank, just not a tank. can be absolutely burned. Chaz in mid.
Oh, great charm, but an even better route to start things off. Doesn't really matter, however, because still no level 60s there for the jungler. For Poltron, he has the luxury of having level 6 himself, so jumps in. Cyclone actually hit on the wave, but Chaz is gone. Spirit Rush, final charge, used the safety. Schönfei still living as long as he can, but down goes the bomb, and there's the double kill for the jungle Gragas. Now Chippy's the next one in the firing lines, and there is Chaz to pick it up. And a lonely Appy comes along and is able to get at least one back on the board for Pentanep.
Decoy there just so much faster as well, has such a large impact in that skirmish. Appy nowhere to be seen, but Chippies is really the difference when we talk about which champions are where. And Zoranus gets a free time in top lane. And ultimately, Direwolves come out massively ahead from this skirmish, and they get baited in by the man on your screen right now, Chaz, who uses his R2, gets some nice damage down, uses the R3 to clear the wave out, and just draws them in. You have to know that he's going towards a bush that you have no vision, but you see Chippy's collapsing, and so you might still just get baited into the play. And the bait was just a little bit too strong, just a little bit too powerful. Mind controlled them into the perfect position, and Poltron tries to keep his distance so that he doesn't get comboed, but eventually has to go in, and Appy's able to hit those skill shots to help a little bit, but not enough to say that that was worth it for Pentanep at all.
No, certainly not. It was a burnt flash at the end there from Poltron, but it was always going to be a death with the Ignite ticking and ready to go. But that is really, if anything, actually helped Zoranus out immensely after the amount of pressure gone his way. A free lane to bounce back what was a bit of a roughie. And now Renekton, that is looking far worse for wear.
Poltron again on wards, this time does see the ward being placed, however, so they're able to ping that one out. Decoy gets to have himself a little bit of a roam. Just quick check in with the bot laners as well. We spoke about them in detail before the game started, but all things considered, just farming as best they can. Very much similar in CS overall. One extra wave in favor of Violet. That could just be a result of Decoy's multiple roams and Appy being a little bit slower, and that could have been after the wave timing, right? So those small details add up a little bit for Violet, but nothing really to speak of whatsoever. Most of the action has happened around top lane and mid.
Yes, certainly has. Speaking of, Chaz, with the first strike rune, is actually going to opt for the Everfrost. There's a double AP mid jungle. Just wants a ton of lockdown, a bunch of CC.
Yeah, I can't help but ask me, is the Sejuani ban worth it? What does the Sejuani ban actually provide if he's going to be able to play a Gragas and it's a 4-way flex anyway? It feels valuable to just have the Gragas flex.
Certainly it's a question mark, and one that they'll have to review based on the outcome of this game, whether or not they feel it's a necessity to flex it to that Gragas instead. As those are the only two champions right now with their mythic items complete. Certainly flourishing after that mid-play. But a cheeky little engage down the bot lane there by Appy. He's going to come out worse for wear. Now Schönfire rocks up, summons the Herald, says we're crashing this wave. We're guaranteeing some gold. Now to wrestle in the mid lane to see who can rotate down here first.
Chaz being able to force river control, having that first move. Poltron, of course, making his way down. Zoranus near mid.
Yeah, Zoranus is going to come in here and try and be the difference maker right now. Dongi is just in so much trouble. Can't self-ult, can't flash, it was on CD. Can't Frozen Claw away. So a fantastic roam. Dials at the moment, I mean, they're just hitting the mark.
Yeah, the Direwolves just looking like the better team right now. You know, only 11 minutes into game number 1, and plenty can happen, plenty can change between now and the end of the game, but the reality is Direwolves looking better. Zoranus with a really nice roam. Chaz using his item spike timing to make that play happen as well. Can go for the Everfrost build because he's got an AP Gragas working with him. Drake down to 1,000. Schönfei doesn't go over the wall though. And Appy.
No, but Appy has. He's jumped on in, gone gold, and Violet's like, well, I've got to cleanse. I'm in trouble. I'm being zoned away by a jungler alone. In comes Dongi. One man ult. Frozen tomb onto Poltron, and he's dead. So there's one reset. There's one clone, and there's Violet getting an important shutdown. I think from this point onwards, though, you must disengage away and cut your losses.
And so much time bought by Appy, actually, with that stopwatch. Something that really just drew in and baited the Direwolves squad. And so they do net themselves a pretty positive skirmish. Of course, the Drake doesn't go their way. But those kills, something that felt really important as a momentum swing in this one. You see Appy go in first. He'll find his angle. He'll find his target straight onto the AD carry and trade it. Violet, however, gets heavily pressured, has to cleanse, has to use all of his buttons except the ultimate. and manages to just hold on to that one. You can see them still threatening, still pushing forwards. If you have some crowd control, Violet can get in. But really the hero of the show there was Appy, just creating so much time for his team to walk the whole way around to get to the fight.
Tell you what, he saw an angle, even if we didn't initially. Was very confident in his ability to jump in there in a 1v4 and say this is the play and it's gonna work out.
Just Schönfire actually. Appy may even try considering baiting there, you know, copping a Braum Q and going for the fight, seeing if they want to fall for that one. Only one bush in bottom lane without vision in it for Direwolves, and that is the bush that a Wukong is in.
Well, the Solar Flare's back up again, but there is no Hex Flash. Schönfire is going to be invisible, finds the one-man stun onto Braum, Root Flash stun. And you're in a world of trouble. Tries to hit the Glacial Fissure, but dead during the animation.
3 top.
Now a play takes place topside, and it's Direwolves doing a 3-man dive. Oh, Chippies has flashed in. He's tried to be crazy.
I think maybe he went for a flash W stun onto Chaz, who was tanking the turret, but the second he flashed, Poltron was body slamming and just got clipped by the animation. This was the back muscles of Gragas that stunned him with the body slam.
Yeah.
He actually just grabbed him with those back muscles. A
It's
little
like
bit
that
unlucky.
soundboard was like, oof.
Where are you going?
Yeah.
A little bit unlucky from Chippies, but he tried his best, still couldn't deal with it. 3-man play in meanwhile.
Meanwhile, indeed, Schönfire flash for flash. Where you going, Ari? Right within my grasp. That's a massive pickup found there by Schönfire to try and stabilize that top lane. Direwolves once again, though, going to try and find a play elsewhere with that mid lane in shambles. They're going to do a fair amount of damage into this mid-tier 1.
A lot of back and forth trades here. Wave gets cleared. Dongi threatening, I guess, a little bit with that claw, but the ultimate goal was to clear the minion wave. Praetor decoy pushing forwards, knowing the Wukong was top lane. The top laner in Chippies was dead. Constant angles being found by both teams now as Chaos gets thrown into the mix. Spoke about this very early on, Skimmy, but you were expecting some action here, right? A Wukong with ult, 3 lanes to gank for. Certainly had his pick of the litter. And the second he starts trying, Dire will start counterpunching.
Yep, they certainly do. And really does now feel like game is on. It was a 2k lead for Direwolves, but that's been completely neutered. And really at this point now, it's the case of wherever this Wukong is, just need 1 member extra and a kill will be found. So Chaz lead at the moment, but a slim one at that.
Both teams grouping up right now, looking at the one singular objective that is up in the Rift Herald. Dial's going to kick this one off. Pensinet showing absolutely no signs of looking to fight for that one. Chippy's on his island on the other side of the map, recently teleported in just to clear waves. And that really, looking at the game overall right now, is the sore spot for PGG. There's a 0-3 Renekton who's just going to have to be a role player for the team, but he's not a Scion, right? Misstep and you instantly die and provide no value for your team. You don't have an undead passive. Now it becomes even more of an issue as time passes, especially with that split pushing as well.
Yes, certainly is. Going to be very rough for Chippy to ever try and take that 1v1 now. And he's going to, obviously at any free occasion, get some push in. But it has been PGG sacrificing every objective so far, right? 2 Drakes, 1 Herald. Not been interested whatsoever. Have to wait and see when they do feel confident to find the mark. If it is just a case of looking to try and find a summoner's advantage, because right now there are no TPs available.
Dongi's been farming really well, just quietly, 160 CS at 16 minutes, putting in work as the mid laner for the team, but unfortunately is also 0-2, so has been preyed upon a little bit by a good roam from Zoranus earlier, and the skirmish prior where he fell down. Violet, once again, a constant performer for the team, a constant high performer in general. Seems like he's going to be the obvious win condition for Pensinet when these fights break out as a charm hits.
Is this the moment you feel confident as Dongi now? You've got a stopwatch, you've got a summoner heal as well. You've got so much ability to try and outplay and sustain. Look at a mini brawl going down bot side. It is Dongi and Zoranus fighting in that bot tri-bush. The Dragon is still there, down to 50%. Pensinet trying to force their way in, but Schönfire the one copying all the damage right now, down to 50% himself as well.
Dongi dead.
Dongi is just dying in that 1v1, which has taken such a long time. He's forced to run away. The Dragon has gone. Chaz jumps in with a Spirit Rush. You can flash, you can dash, but you were always going to die. And Poltron tries to kill steal.
Yeah, he really puts in an effort there to try and secure that one, doesn't he? Ari had already used the ultimate. The kill was inevitable, and the flash was even used by Zoranus that you could look at and say, was that necessary? With an Ari already ulting and running them down.
I'm the carry, not you, Chaz.
That's it. I say all eyes on me. And look, Herald to be summoned. Drake secured Divals. Speaking towards objective domination. Pentanet really scrambling, really struggling to keep up with the pace. The Divals commit to these objectives. Doesn't feel like normal Pentanet at all.
No, it feels as if they sort of lost their head from that play when they got baited in the mid lane, really. It's been a bit of a catastrophe for their solo laners, both sitting now at 0-3, and you hate to say it, but it almost feels like, you know, the Violet show at this point, where you really are hoping that he can find some way to hit those item spikes, because traditionally speaking, he has been at the forefront of the kill share, of the damage percentage.
He can certainly do it as well. No one else in this team is as equipped as Violet is to be a 1v9 player. It's almost true for the league as a whole, to be fair.
Yeah.
Violet is just that good going back to career form. But he is also playing Kai'Sa into a lot of close-range champions. You know, a lot of things that he's going to have a hard time dealing with. Running into an Everfrost, into an Ari Charm, Braum's abilities, Zaya wants the Kite, right? The list goes on.
That killer instinct will have to be so well placed.
Yeah, the bar for execution just higher and higher the further they fall behind.
Oh, here we go. Podron's found an explosive cast that splits the team apart. Schoenfire tries to hit back with that Cyclone, and it's successful because the Solar Flare goes down. There's the Naro into two, but Chippies has flashed away and Schoenfire survived. But Dongi's going to die again. Violet falls to cleanse, and PGG have been routed into the bottom lane. That's a flash Featherstorm to try and rip back and try and find more, and they will find just that. There's two. That's a double fill it up. Make it a triple, actually. As Appy's relegated himself to saying have the ace and have the Quadra 2.
Yeah, 4 kills for Zoranus and a fantastic team fight from Direwolves as a whole. It starts with a huge cask from Poltron, just splits them up and just scatters the entire Pentanet team. Charm hits, the flash doesn't need to hit, it's about positioning. Chucks it in, Chippies is basically dead from the forefront, and they all get themselves grouped back up, but it's next to a wall for a Mega Gnar. And if you put yourself in Violet's shoes for the rest of this skirmish, you cleanse the slow so that you can keep running. There's no way out in this situation. Dials are flashing forwards, they're looking for their angles, a ward spots out Schoenfire. No one can body block, no one can protect the carry of the team. They're all just trying to survive, and it was every man for themselves.
Yeah.
And now there's no men standing.
Phenomenal turn of events here from all the pressure that originated in that top lane targeting Zoranus, and he's answered back. That was the only death, and now he's got 5 kills to his name. There's a reason he's played this champion more than anybody, and a reason why it will be rewarded as that 5th final pick. Appy in a world of trouble as well now. He's running as fast as he can. Decoy is there to try and tag him up. Schoenfire will try and afford him a bit of peeling with a clone of his own. Glacial Fissure goes wide, jukes someone out, and Appy has nowhere left to turn.
Tell you what, Appy dodged about 75 skill shots, but all of them led him away from his base. So eventually he was going to run out of real estate.
Yeah.
And did unfortunately do so. The Braum ult locks him next to the wall. But hey, we give him skill shots missed, bonus points. Made it look cool, bought an extra 15 seconds. Think about how long it takes now to run to the Baron. That's all they're really banking on right now. It's not an insurmountable gold difference in this Baron buff. If Schoenfire steals it, could actually swing the gold value back a bit for them. It's certainly not going to be easy to do.
Well, Schoenfire's going to jump it in, hitting the Cyclone Wash. Charmed is pretty impressive now. The second charge goes out just to disengage away. Flash across the wall, get to safety. Dongi's jumped in on his own and has died. Another death. Hasn't been this game for him. Chaz going to try and find another pick. That's going to force Chippies to disengage away as well. But the Baron has been stopped for the meantime.
Yeah, stopping the Baron is realistically the goal here for Pentanet. Recall doesn't get stopped.
He's been scammed there.
He absolutely has. A W is from Wish. Navoria Quickblade's done from the Zaya as well, so they really are just item spiking. This is one of those games that we kind of look at from the outside view. We get to see how different these teams feel overall, but even if you think like Dongi or Chippies right now, impossible to play, right? Everyone on the enemy team kills you, and you're meant to be the front line for the squad.
Yeah.
So hard to do, so hard to execute. You have to group in bushes together, look for picks together, find ways that you can excel, but if die will stay grouped, really difficult to do.
Yeah, and they've resigned themselves to saying, well, you can have that Baron. We'll get split push in the bot lane. Chippy's a rare chance to try and do just that. We'll deny your soul as well. That's all we can pick up. That really is the silver scrapings.
I mean, 700 gold for a turret. Another objective bounty as well here for this Drake that they'll be able to pick up. 125 each. It's a lot of money. And actually, if you look at the gold difference, is a big amount of money that goes straight into their pockets. They're going to be able to spend that as well as they come back to base to defend. The question is, what happens with this Baron buff, right? How much of the standing gold on the map, how much control of the map the Direwolves actually get themselves? Because currently, I think both teams are almost dead even in items, if not slightly ahead for Pentanet. In terms of fight timings, this might be the only time in the game where Pentanet can feel stronger.
Well, it might be a case if you have the money, but you actually haven't spent it right now, so we've got to try and do something with this. I don't think PGG are well kitted to try and defend with wave clear. They need to fight their way out of this misery. And they're going to do just that, really. They tried to force it at the top tier 2. Unable to find that kill. Zoranus still being a menace in the mid lane, syncing up these waves now. As Direwolves find their 6th successive tower. And are knocking on the front door.
Shenfire's clone is just given a whole lot of damage. Ooh, Doggy.
Yeah, that's a one-man ult onto Dongy, forcing out the Frozen Tomb. The Charm does go out. There is the explosive cast as well, but locked in place by the Charm means Appy is still safe for the meantime. Dongy, by some miracle, is still standing, so he can go back to base. And the rest of the team are really wishing we had more numbers because these towers are falling. They can't answer back. They can't do really much. But watch and pray.
It was a nice stopwatch by Doggy to keep him alive, right? Has got the Ghost that he's switched to now, so if they try and close some distances, it could help. But like you're saying, every time Pentanet step up to the plate, they just get harassed, they get poked, they get removed from the situation very fast. And now that Baron buff has pushed so much standing gold down, and the second Direwolves get to reset, which they are now, not going to be stopped. Lead becomes insurmountable, right? The game becomes really difficult to play out. Now you just kind of have to accept reality. But very much to come back from this game will require mistakes from the Wolfpack.
Now they certainly do get to showcase what a 7k gold lead deficit looks like, right? So they are very much in the lead. And very much, in many cases, a full item ahead. Zoranus is in an absolute blind here. Certainly what you want to see as a turnaround from last night. It's now a case of closing this one out with a bang.
Vigilance from Direwolves here as well, clearing out wards, charming bushes, throwing Gragas Fuse into bushes first. Control wards, not face checks. I'll spot Shenfire's clone. Ultron.
Oh, Ultron has been caught, but the same could be said for Shenfire here. Goes for the body slam, goes for the flash out, and Appy jumps in. There's the killer instinct. Violet is going to try and turn it up to 11 right now. He's found one. He's looking for the second, and he will claim that second, cleansing out of harm's way, and wants the third. Zoranus is the next one on the menu. He would love that shutdown. He just needs to find it. Goes in for it, does claim it, and is still alive, but ultimately denied here by Praetor, who gets the double, gets the ace. And seemingly now gets the GG condition.
And for just a second there, you're looking at Violet and you're feeling hope. You're thinking maybe this is a fight where they get all of those shutdowns. But Chaz and Praetor's untouched, unrelenting, and able to wipe the Pentanet squad in a very strong first game.
Too much of an uphill battle there. You've taken down one threat, but far more were there waiting. Still hunting to take you down. Shenfire respawns dead again into another ace just as easy as that, but a very great way to start the series off. Done in less than 27 minutes, Rusty.
It's like Direwolves know that this is a one best of 3 day and they want to wrap us up really quick or something. This is a bit of a surprise, suffice to say. The Wolfpack squad comes in against all of the predictions from everyone here on the broadcast. And they upset the apple cart immediately with a nice game 1 win.
We think about the last series. I mean, it really was, games going the distance. 2 40-minute games. This time, no messing around. Clear game plan in mind, clear idea of how they wanted to execute it, given every objective, given every opportunity. With a gold lead, they just, they win.
Well, look, at least Twitch chat might be able to get a prediction right because all of us on the couch are in an awkward position.
I'm done.
I think Kitty's still on.
No, I'm
we're
a big
2-0.
fat egg.
We're out.
I was
I'm the
2-0
2-1
as
Andy.
well.
You're in.
I was 2-0 as well.
You're out.
So it's just me.
Max is in. I
We're
think
all a bunch of gooses.
I'm gonna. Oh, Max went 2-0 as well. I got confirmation. So, Skimmy, you're praying that PGG come back, and we're also
Reverse
praying
sweep.
that there is no reverse sweep. So then you lose all your points, we lose all
Twitch
our
chat
points.
is owning us.
Yeah,
They are.
They're a little bit too good, aren't they?
Kind of like that bot lane. What went down there, huh? Pradith finally turning up. Chaz playing the bloody A game you're expecting. Everyone from Direwolves lifting. And PGG, whatever they wanted to execute that game, just didn't go to plan. Direwolves getting out in the lead, and they're just putting their pedal to the metal and closing it out damn quick.
Yeah, and that goes back to my point where the solo lane of PGG really shaky for this game one, specifically Chippies, where this Nar just got to do whatever he wanted in these team fights. And of course, Pradith, when he is on something like the Xayah and you predict that PGG is going to go for those hard team fighting compositions where the Wukong, the Renekton, and the Kaiser Leona really struggles to find those angles onto you, it is the perfect draft for this game one, as we do see RP being a straggler for this remaining fight. Even a quadra kill into Zoranus' hand, a big turnaround from last night's performance, and he did it on the Gnar. I mean, this Gnar pick should either be taken away by PG or you need a much better answer, as we really saw Chippy struggling to get anything done in that top side of the map. But my biggest point is just the solo laner difference in this game, as Violet, he was still tossing out so much damage. I genuinely thought he was going to get a pentakill here. We meme about how Gala got a pentakill earlier, but that genuinely looked like an angle, but he just needed teammates.
Yeah, he certainly did. And you're having a look at the damage there as well. That's probably the lowest damage we've seen come out of PGG, like Violet in particular. They're all relatively even across the board, but you look on the other side, and as you mentioned, Zoranus popping off, Chaz doing work there on the Ahri in mid, and then Pradith finally showing up with 16k damage.
I mean, you think about how this game started as well. It was an attempt at gank top lane, Chippy's dies, Zoranus suddenly has momentum, and I feel like that's such a big difference from what we normally see from Pensanet, a team that wants to be aggressive early because it's successful, and Direwolves get to just sit there and react instead.
Yeah, they just look like a fraction of themselves, and you see that Zoranus is usually at the forefront of linking up with Schoenfire, being so aggressive to force those four-man dives. I think that game there may have been his worst of the entire split, and you can't afford to have it in an elimination game like this where you're now staring potentially one game and you're knocked out.
Well, you know what that means, Skimmy. You just put it into reverse.
You don't want to stall it?
And you look for the reverse sweep angle. That's where he's going. You don't drive stick, do you, Skimmy?
No.
Yeah,
I
you
didn't
I
actually process you were looking for the clutch originally either.
Yeah.
It took me a second. I was like, what's he doing?
What's he doing? What's wrong with his legs? Look, either way, we have some from the fans to have a quick look at as well. I wonder if we're going to get, you know, those pictures with the legs that we may have seen submitted. At the moment, we just have some cuties. Shock and Melg. And who's that in the middle? I forgot what her name was.
Oh, don't do me like this.
It's not. I'm just dragging you down with me.
Oh, that's so sad. Larissa.
I think it was Larissa.
I don't want to say it if I'm wrong.
No.
Because her rap name was something really similar to Larissa, so I'm going to go with Larissa.
I'm so sorry, but I do not know.
That's the name?
Her name is, I'm sorry, but I do not know.
I'm sorry, but I do not know.
swear
By the
I'm
way,
right.
I reckon we could pull this one off easily. Who's who? Kitty, do you want to be Shock?
Yeah, I can be Shock, you know, doing the peace sign at the front. Who's going to be MLG?
Did we all bring our sunnies? Because we didn't bring them last time. Larizla.
Larissa. She's in the match fix, does breakdowns.
Yeah, the reporter that goes over
Yeah.
We do have another one to have a look
We're
at.
not that bad, I promise.
Thank you, Melg. Melg also commented on one of my photos just before. Oh, that looks a whole lot like my housemate.
Oh, mate, Kevy.
Probably because it is. Thank you, Fluke, for that. I reckon that'd be nice. Also, this is like an older photo, and Kev's lost weight. Like, Kev has lost a good amount of weight. He's been hitting the gym really, really hard, and also watching his eating a lot. And I've only just noticed it because this is probably like maybe a year and a bit old, but Kev's been going really hard on the diet. But
That's
look,
good.
What's happening
What
in
is
this
the
photo?
context?
We need
Can
to
we get-
dissect it. His
can I
face
get the
is red. He
PTZ?
has the hands up here. His face looks distraught.
It's like, I can't believe it.
You ready?
Look.
Is he
Ready?
flashbangs?
We've got the
Like,
PTZ.
what's going on?
I'll show you. Ready? I can't believe it. Is that
His
it?
eyebrows went down.
Oh, sorry.
How do you do that?
I don't know. That was really weird to coordinate that. Either way, we do have a break coming up, which of those are we going to do real quick?
We
How
never
about
settled on a...
I thought we were doing Team
Team
Rocket.
Rocket.
we could do it during the break, then everyone can
Yep.
watch. So let's just go to a break and we'll orchestrate this. But game 2 is coming up just after this.
Oh, here we go. Podron's found it. Explosive cast that splits the team apart. Schoenfire tries to hit back with that Cyclone, and it's successful because the Solar Flare goes down. There's the Naro into 2, but Chippies has flashed away and Schoenfire survived. But Dongy's going to die again. Violet falls to cleanse, and PGG have been routed into the bottom lane. That's a flash Featherstorm to try and rip back and try and find more, and they will find just that. There's 2. That's a double fill and up. Make it a triple, actually. Zappy's relegated himself.
Welcome back to the LCO knee slapping extravaganza where Rusty has offered his knees up for a little bit of slapping. And Skimmy, he's got the Slapper Machine 7000 ready to go.
No.
Like that, right? No? Not going to happen?
No.
I just hurt my hand. Either way, look, welcome back to the LCO. You guys got to see us experimenting in the break with a bit of fun. Fortunately, these guys had nowhere to be, so we were able to get 2 pictures
Wait.
done. They are mid-development on the table
Rusty
at the front.
completely escaped both group photos. He has to
Next
do
one.
one
I'll
by
tell you,
next one.
himself.
He can have some
do one by
solos.
myself.
You're not going to escape this,
I
Rusty.
saw that there was one of someone doing like gymnastics. I think they were getting their heads behind their legs
Bruh.
like this. I'm probably...
You were cramping when you tried that before.
Look, but I limbered up. I did the
Oh,
stretches. Huh?
Did you now?
I did. I don't know if the jeans have. They're probably going to break if I try to go for the full legs behind the head. Either way, let's get back on track
dearie me.
while these photos develop. Let's talk about that draft. Kitty, of course, you weren't there in Champ Select, but what would you change? What did you like? What did you hate going into that game 1 from both these teams?
Well, I really liked Dives' bottom lane draft. I believe they saved the counter for the mid lane and support, where the Brom was the response to a Leona from RP, which obviously is a hard-winning lane for the bottom. And when Violet is put in a situation where he is in a counter matchup, he was still able to do good, but he wasn't able to do great. And that really just diffused PGG's win condition. But it once again goes back to the solo lanes of PGG. The Lissandra in particular, I have seen this quite a lot, but when you're into something like the Xayah, the Ahri that has the bit of mobility, and Xayah being extremely long ranged, it's a little bit tough to play it. And unless you're looking for those flank angles on the Lissandra consistently, well, it's going to be really tough. And I believe Dongi had a very rough game 1.
So, do you think it wasn't a draft gap? You think it was just execution?
No, it was a
for
draft
GG?
gap. I think it was a draft gap.
was a draft
I think
gap?
if Pentanet say it wasn't, I reckon they're capping. For me, it is the Lissandra and the Renekton though, so I'm just going to echo Kitty's sentiment. Like, if they're going to change something, I think it was their solo laners. Not just on the results in terms of score, but they picked those champions into the Direwolves composition, and picking Renekton as a late pick, seeing a Xayah and a Braum, knowing that your job is to try and kill them is impossible.
Yeah.
So they do have to actually spend a bit of extra time reflecting on what champions they should be picking, because it feels right now, Pentanet are just drafting for themselves. They basically are just draft. They don't care what their opponents have, but the reality is that's not how draft works. It's a two-sided coin. And so this next game, if they draft to beat Direwolves comp, then I think it'll be a different experience.
So everyone just needs to take a page out of Bliss's book and do 13 hours a day going into playoffs.
It goes
of
up by an
draft
hour each
prep.
time.
Yeah.
Yep.
Every single time.
Yep.
Look, Dare fan vote time. Get those Twitch points in because I think PGG was favored in that one.
I believe Dials
I think it's like
was
52.
57. It was barely across 50.
Super close.
But PG lost in the first
PGG
one.
lost.
Yeah.
Okay, well, those Direwolves point putters, of course, are going to have a lot of points to put up there. Beautiful. Now, look, just before you put those points on, you might want to know which side, who's playing on who. PGG copped the L, so they get to choose the side. Let's see if they're going to be running it back onto red, and that's exactly what we're seeing. So they're going to get the counter pick. They're going to have a slightly easier time in draft if they are to try to, counter pick a couple of positions that they really want to put high prio on, which they're going to have to because this is their last chance unless they win.
I mean, you lose now, you're eliminated, right? Gone from the LCO for split one, and Direwolves are the team that have momentum. So I think red side's going to be important for them. I think, again, we kind of saw what I was talking about before the first draft as well. Pentanet don't change their bans no matter what side they're on, no matter what strategy they're taking.
Yeah.
The one adaptation for red side is they probably don't need to ban the Sejuani, really.
Yeah.
It was an odd ban to me.
I think for this game 2 specifically, I had it written in my notes before we went into game 1, but this Xayah pick should really be considered to be taken off because if Praetor isn't given something that has the easy way out when he is caught out, well, what else is gonna pick? Because in the previous games as Aphelios, I mean, he was just mispositioned everywhere and the enemy team could take advantage of that. So if you just take away some of these safe lane champions, then maybe Dial will start to crack.
What do we want to see Praetor to have a similar performance that we just got from him?
Xayah, Kai'Sa, or Aphelios, but it depends on the supports that he's with. So I think it's less about...
Zeri.
Nah,
No
we don't
Zeri.
need Jerry.
He's the type of Jerry to E in and die.
I think we should have... It's not his champions, it's the bot lane 2v2, right? That's the thing, right? If you see an Aphelios, I want them to pick a Braum. Please stop. I cannot continue my sentence. I'm distracted. It's gone.
An Aphelios or a Thresh or a Braum.
I'm just trying to save your throat,
And
mate.
then
You got two
if
big
it's...
days.
You're talking about bot lane duo, so
Yeah,
Aphelios with the
yeah.
Thresh and the
Yeah.
Braum,
Or is there Xayah with a Rakan or a
Kai'Sa with the
Braum?
Nautilus, something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
How's it feel, huh? Getting interrupted mid-sentence, still trying to...
What's he talking about?
I don't know. He's chin-wagging about something, isn't he?
The amount of times I've tried to like
Are the
move
photos
topics
done?
on and you two just have your own bloody conversation. They are! Let's have a quick look.
Should we have a look?
Or tilt them up, tilt them up. Champ Select is about to be
Oh, they're
ready.
so blurry.
Show the camera,
You're
not
showing-
yourself!
You're not showing yourself.
Skimmy, you suck. Bloody Champ Select's
Look.
ready.
No, don't look at that.
There's
Look at this.
Camera's over here. The camera's over here. And it's not going to be moving for a bit.
We don't care. We don't care about Champ Select. We need
Hold
a
it
camera.
still. Hold it still.
You can still
Well, it's-
breathe, Skimmy.
It's almost...
covered.
just stop moving.
Oh, okay. Oh, the second one is so blurred.
No, it's action pose.
Mid-action.
No one blame the photographer.
Okay. Well, let's jump into the draft then. And despite the sides being flipped, the opening pick is still the same, which is the Wukong. PGG going to say, all right, we're locking in the Aphelios. We've had enough of that. It's actually Direwolves that bound away Desire of all people. And the Gragas is the adaptation. Sejuani no longer considered. The Gragas was the menace.
Yeah, the Vi, the Ari, and the Zaya, which means Annie is going to be up as well as that Varus, right? The interesting thing as well is, like, with that Varus, doesn't have to be banned in reality. And for Pentanet, they banned the Gragas this time, and they actually take the Sejuani for themselves because the Wukong's been picked. So it's clear that, and we've kind of said as much, it's clear that Poltron doesn't need the Sejuani to survive. It was just a strong preference, and they've immediately adapted. Lucian Nami gets locked in. Again, this is a bot lane duo that we've not seen enough of, I feel like, in the LCO in recent weeks. It was, obviously, it was a prolific pick. It was one of the top 2 only lanes that we'd see. But it's back again in the rest of the world, and finally the LCO starts to join that trend.
That certainly does, which is always nice to see things come full circle. Would have been interesting, actually, if they had locked in the time, Kench. I think you've already got a boatload of diving threats. The protection from that Devour could have been invaluable, but deciding that they want to be on the front foot more so than the defensive. So going to go with the Nautilus one more time. And just give themselves a ton of reliable CC between that of the double passives between Sejuani and Ult.
So they're going to be taken away here as well. Makes sense. Chaz, champion pool. Chaz does love a good Talia game. It's one of his best picks by far. I would not be surprised to see with the Ari already gone, the Talia now taken away, another little bit of a target ban towards him perhaps. Silas was actually a ban from them in the last one.
Yep.
It was an odd pick. I think something that was like, we ban the Silas so we can pick the Lissandra type of angle. I don't know if that's something we'll see again from Pentanet. They do have a lot of brawlers. They do have a lot of close range, a lot of high action and combat heavy champions right now, but so do Direwolves. And so as we meet in the middle, very curious as to what their 4 or 5 picks will be.
Oh, so they don't want to try and utilize the red side counter pick to defeat the Nard. They're much more content just banning it away and forcing elsewhere. Obviously, the Olaf then is the response as well, saying that's a little bit too strong. So the Jax is being hovered. We know what it did when it went into the Alawi last time, and that was a bit of a nightmare. He'll be hoping that Zoranus doesn't have that one prepped and ready to go.
God, I hope they hover it though.
Me too.
They're getting their heads. If you're Zoranus right now, you're coming to pray to just hover Alawi.
And we just watched the player cams to see the reactions.
Yeah. Still choices are going to be there for Zoranus. The question is the path that he wants to take. Does he want to be a bruiser? Does he want to be a tank, right? Does he want to just play the side and accept that he gets outscaled but be a team fighter? Those types of options are there for him. Or do you want to take the fighter pathway? And we've been talking about this for a while, and this is a great choice for them. Zoranus seems to be in his comfort zone when he's fighting top lane, when he's actually taking the skill matchups.
Yeah.
And so this is definitely a skilly.
Ooh, okay. So we've saved the 5th pick this time for Dongy in the mid lane, and he's going to showcase what his Cassiopeia looks like. That'll be his first time this entire split, the second time we've seen it all split, given it was only Phyto beforehand. Now, quick summary of these compositions. From what I can see here, Rusty, you've got a really strong 4-man with the Rise Lucian Nami, a Wukong to engage, and a Fiora to obviously be a split-pushing menace. Whereas for PGG, it's all about massive team fighting, big ultimates, and you know, I suppose also matching with the split push of a Jax your own.
Yeah, I think a couple of other points here as well is one, the Rise is also capable of 1-3-1-ing. Can also play towards Zoranus' lane and then dip back into towards mid lane with the ultimate or the teleport, and is very flexible in how it plays. Also means your team can rush objectives, use those ultimates to try and turn, put a Wukong in the back line, or just get out of dodge and escape when you go for cheat objectives. For the Pensinet side, the Cassiopeia are very good at going forwards, very good at kiting backwards, obviously can be very flexible with that in mind, but also can be a high kill threat laner, where Ryze wants to try and just survive through that laning phase. The disadvantage of Cassiopeia is you cannot afford to go for Merc Treads, but there's no need against the opponent composition here. The Direwolves, no real crowd control again. Still higher on the execution front, but lots of damage, lots of DPS, and lots of mid-game threat from Direwolves.
There certainly will be, and one thing that springs to mind for me is what kind of build actually will we get from this Cassiopeia? We saw Fido showcase us the Gargoyles Stoneplate, had the barrier as well. That was into a Z matchup, into a Ryze, a different story. But the aim of the game is controlling and utilizing CC. And that could certainly be what is able to get either side across the finishing line here. Direwolves on match point, fighting for this elimination game. They want to continue the story. They want to get themselves into that best of 5 and make sure that that first seed actually meant something. As for PGG, the gamble, they've gone to Perth. They're battling on a defeated ping either way they play. Was that gamble worthwhile? Well, you really have one game to prove so.
I mean, one more loss, Pensinet.gg have to say goodbye to the LCO for Split 1. As they have to say goodbye to the DreamHack event as well. And they'd only be there as spectators. Direwolves fighting for their lives are 1-0 up in this series. Pensinet need to bounce back immediately. We join the rest of the world on patch 13.4 as well. That is unchanged and will be for a while, up until the final event, I believe. April 29th. Quick check-in as well, Skimmy, just while we're hopping into this one. It is the Ghost from Zoranus. It isn't the Flash. Chippy's gone for standard summoner spells. And in terms of keystones overall, Grasp Scorch is the lane-winning summoner spell combo from Fiora, right? Higher poke, higher little quick trades. Something that Ajax will actively be going for himself anyway.
Yep.
And a lot of pressure put on both top laners here in this second game because it can swing heavily with the smallest of errors or mistakes. The other one can suffer.
If you high roll a Vital Proc in the right place, then Fiora just wins the matchup, right? So it's kind of crazy. It can be that influential. Speaking of those keystones, you've also got the Press the Attack variant of the Lucian as opposed to the First Strike that we tend to see. There is Zoranus able to get himself that first little Vital Proc. Really excited to see how this matchup does pan out.
Fiora, one of the most annoying level 1 champions because she can reposition and deal damage with that repositioning, can heal from the Vital Procs as well as the Grass Procs. Jax, of course, can be an absolute issue with the Counter-Strike, but that's where the riposte comes into play either way. Top lane, like we're seeing, very volatile.
He's copping an absolute beating here, and nothing has gone back towards Zoranus. I mean, he's full HP.
He's able to hold the wave. He's gone for the Doran's Blade also. So something that we've been seeing a lot less of is the Doran's Shield, just because it now gives 2 less HP regen per 5. This means a little bit more adaptive lifesteal from Zoranus with the abilities that he puts down. Bottom lane as well going to be super volatile. So we spoke about this in game number 1. Shoe on the other foot, it almost feels like, right? The Wukong has lanes to gank pretty successfully. Schoenfire does himself as well with a Nautilus and with a Jax lane, but health-wise, Chippy's in a bit of trouble.
He was in a bit of trouble there. He was actually going to walk into the river and find himself a Poltron, but thankfully the wave was in such a spot that he could leap away to safety. He is recalling on a ward right now, and he is going to get given that tell, given Zoranus was coming his way. Would have been a disaster if First Blood happened that early.
Yeah, even getting the recall cancelled though buys plenty of time here. It means minions go missing, experience goes missing. Chippy's going to have to teleport all the way back to the turret. Appy going to go for a cheeky little roam here, see if he can get a ward in the new position that everyone's placing it at the moment.
Our new favourite spot.
Yeah, absolutely. But it was seen by Dial as Decoy was standing there and watching that one go down, so it gets pinged out. Means that they'll be able to navigate the vision quite easily. If they wanted to go for a gank bottom, they'd just come in through river.
Yeah, speaking of, Scuttlers have been traded, and the entire bot side of the river does belong to PGG right now. So plenty of avenues for Schoenfire to find his way in, even actually an aggressive ward by the Raptors too, making sure they have tabs as to where Chaz may be if he were to go for a rotate to try and answer back with the numbers.
They really do have a host of vision down here.
It's like 5 wards.
Yeah. All of those jungle camps should be free. They should belong. And permanent priority as well between the Nautilus and the Aphelios. It feels like they're just constantly using spells and pushing. The Idol's as well have gone for cleanse and heal for Decoy and Praetor. It's not an ignite and exhaust or anything like that, right? Like we've seen from them in the past. They are about surviving the lane, but also getting through the high number of crowd control abilities that exist from Pentanet's side. Jack stun, Sedge stun, Cass stun, Violet with his Gravitum cannon as well as a Nautilus. Good reasons to have a cleanse. As the recalls get a little bit upset there.
Yeah, you raised some very good points there. Oh, was that recall actually worthwhile? Because Appy's in so much trouble. Double summoners have to be used. Gravitum is clutch, preventing him going even further and maybe flashing to secure the kill.
Ooh, Sejuani coming down here, but the counter gank's available from Poltron if he stays. He's going to see the Sedge hooks on.
Appy starts it up, hits the Riptide and looks to try and back away. Once again, another Gravitum comes on through. Decoy forced to flash away. They can't find the kill. The splash of the flamethrower is just not strong enough. They're only level 4. But we really will be that conventional Oast classic of a 3v3 in the bot lane, it seems.
Certainly will be. An extremely volatile lane, but it does mean that Pentanет get to pretty freely go back to base with this one, right? Blue weapon, able to just one-hit the minion wave and just left responding as Chippies is ulted in top. One guy has just hit 6 and smacked that like button.
Yeah. He's found a moment and he said, let's have at it. And Zionist, once again, just by his mere movement, is able to feign the reset, force it to be used again. Certainly finding his advantages in this one. Meanwhile, Poltron going to start the very first objective up. That's what I'm curious to see as to how PGG handle things this time around, right? Because last game, an absolute washout. Not a single objective found by them.
Chaz a little bit confusing for a second there as well, just quietly. Pinged out a ward and was just recalling on top of it, knowing that they had vision there. Stopped his recall last second anyway, so gone back to mid. But to your point, absolutely objective control, something that Pentanet have to consider in this one, right? They got carried away. They lost everything in game number 1. They were kind of set up to fail a little bit. But they couldn't capitalize. They couldn't even trade map objectives. The Drake was taken too early. The Herald was taken. Well, they did get a Rift Herald, but that was because of a fight that happened in mid, where the Herald was cancelled, being taken by Poltron to go for the play, and Diables won that fight.
Really do have an exclamation mark on how well Chippies and Dongy can play in the second game. They need to bounce back. They need to find form. Can't afford to be slacking off now. Not at this moment. Not at this crucial timing. After all the good work, after all the stylistic differences that they've brought to the table, brought to the league really more than anything. The project isn't over, and in they go. There is the Glacial Prison into the Miasma, into the inability to flash to safety. So Chaz will die. And that's first blood.
Yeah, Chaz gets punished for not having cleanse as his summoner spell. Does have that teleport, which obviously has its own merits and makes a lot of sense, but it means that it is very easy to hit level 6 as a Sejuani and immediately look towards his lane. Both ultimates not even needed, just the one and just the W. Miasma gets placed down, so the Cassiopeia still looking extremely strong right now. You can see they start to veer towards the bottom side of the map, but they do just recall. Just making sure Direwolves feel a little bit unsafe, not as protected down here as well. But a nice little move from Pentanет.gg, something that feels like it was much needed. They forged themselves a 1,000 gold lead.
They certainly do. And very similar builds, right, between the Rise and the Cassiopeia as to what they're looking to achieve. The Rod of Ages into the completed Archangels. It is going to mean that Dongy is able to complete that Catalyst first and get himself online to be in a point of power. Now, the odds have actually completely swung. Despite being down 1-0, the Dare fan vote believing at 64% should go the PGG way. And the challenge is on. Chippies has flashed, but only into Poltron. Leaps away to Schoenfire, but still going to die. Turns around with the ultimate, but those resistances were just not enough. And now Schoenfire also has to burn a flash just to survive.
Yeah, Chaz gets into the area as well, which is going to be a significant factor as to how they get themselves out. Schoenfire flashes, Chippies flashes and ults as well. And good timing on the fight from Dire was you could see the Ghost used very early by Zoran as he knew the play. He knew the comms. Poltron was saying he was en route. Herald sprints back towards her little cave. She is a squatter in the Baron pit, and it means the objective is not going to be taken. But anything you can do, I can do better, is what Dials have just said to Pentanet.
Certainly have. If you are going to put attention into that top lane again, look how it worked out last time. It's not going to be a pretty picture. As we get to check in here with some of the stats of Decoy, and I think definitely Direwolves were one of the teams at the forefront of playing Lucian Nami fairly religiously at the very get-go during the round robin.
100%. Love a good Lucian Nami game, these two. Certainly is a comfort zone for them. Not going to be involved in the play just yet, but speaking of that Lucian Nami, they are resetting. Praedyth in base, though. It's only going to be the Nami here right now. Ult's available for everybody in terms of experience. So if a fight were to break out, we will have access to all of those ultimates, but if you actually look at the Direwolves side, 4 of them on cooldown. So not really a good time to fight for them. They'll just sacrifice the objective, clear out some waves, wait on some cooldowns, and see if they can get some item spikes. Speaking of, very early from Dongi.
Well, that's it. Exactly goes back to that point in that play for First Blood. He's able to really accelerate his tempo in this game to make sure he does become that much more of a nuisance compared to the Rise. See if he can find that way back into the series. Down in the bot lane then, it is Violet right now with the green and the white, and is ready to be an absolute terror with that weapon setup. And what I'm seeing right now from Praedyth is a Sheen, so potentially a cheeky Essence Reaver. Maybe a bit of a different build. A bit more sustained compared to the classic Gale Force into the Rapid Fire Cannon. That has really been around for such a long time now. Got to see this one play out, because I think the only other time we've seen the Essence Reaver has been from Voice when he's played the Draven.
Don't mind me, Skimmy, just dying. Just coughing over
I've got
here.
you. Don't you worry.
It does look like it's going to be the crit build from him. Can work for a big 2-item spike, I guess, if you're going to go for Essence Reaver into like a Navori, right? And just go for a full offensive earlier spiking build.
Yeah. Obviously a lot of weaving in then with your Spell Slinger, if you will.
Yeah, and there is a lot of melee champions to hit, I suppose, as well. So there's a lot of value there. Herald Summon, not all used.
Well, I mean, everything crashing in the bot lane is a phenomenal bubble, which is really going to die to play. I mean, Shenfire's dead. So whilst it looked great at first glance there for Pentanet, the response from Direwolves was perfect.
Yeah, I mean, realistically, they've just gone for this play. They've put all of their crowd control down at the same time. They've just said, go. Everyone just pressed everything. And then Praedyth just used Cleanse and Flash, and Decoy could stand perfectly still and press every single button completely untouched. And the counterplay was a simple teleport that comes through and Shenfire accepts reality. Really, I mean, again, you look at Pentanet and you're like, ideas are sound. The Herald charge was fine, but it was a forced follow-up play, it felt like, from what was an okay initial thought. Like, pressure bottom, look for this moment. Herald Summon gives them plenty of time. You can see dipping into Fog of War is the Rise as well. Knows that he's safe to teleport. Doesn't teleport until they engage, however, and the second that the Nautilus ult, Sejuani ult were used, teleport comes in, Bubble hits 2, Ultimate hits all 3, and Praedyth uses both Summoner spells. Way too far from Pentanet.
Yeah, very bizarre, very uncharacteristic, more so than anything there. Maybe feeling the pressure, maybe in their own heads, knowing what this series does mean. It's still an even game, and it's still a 1k lead in favor of Pentanet. And they are going to return back to that bot lane and guarantee that a wealth of gold does go the way of Violet here. Obviously, we're able to use that Herald to great success, and only one plate now remains. Well, the second dragon is up, first going the way of Direwolves, and despite Shenfire starting things up, Direwolves are well aware.
You can see Direwolves actually waiting until they had reinforcements before they walked into the tri-bush. They give Pentanet information as late as possible. However, Pentanet here as 4 members strong. Dongi going to be the star of the show.
And John Sappy looking for the knock-up, and he finds it successfully. There is a massive petrifying gate. That's Praedyth locked in place for the meantime. Poltron jumps in with a Cyclone, getting absolute work done. He doesn't even die for it, Rusty. That's how strong he is. And there's a Realm Warp, and that's Violet with nowhere to go. Decoy with a beautiful bubble. And Chaz getting the double.
And Chippy's back in base, 10 HP like you just saw as well. A top lane trade goes the way of Zoranus. And suddenly this game that was close, that was actually favorable to Pentanet when you looked at the gold is swinging wildly back in Direwolf's favor. And you watch this again and you can't help but feel like it's an overforce from Pentanet. Every single time they go for this play, right? The flash comes in, Appy finds his ult, he finds Praedyth. Praedyth gets flash altered on by Dongy, but at the time that Appy goes in, Sejuani's not jumping in as well. Dongy goes in and flashes forwards and is effectively the front line by himself because Appy was already 10 HP. And there's no way for Violet to really get into the play unless he's flashing forwards as well. It's just a bit of a scramble from the Pentanet side. You heard from Violet yesterday, Skimmy. Their team fighting was their weak point. I mean, we're seeing it again.
That we certainly are. That was a scramble. That was a bit of a nightmare. And that was a very big overforce. And one that really for Direwolves, I mean, they're playing with so much confidence now, so much belief.
100%. They've got safe hands. You make mistakes, they're going to capitalize straight away. And full credit to Direwolves. Regardless of how Pentanet look in this game, it does take safe hands to catch a throw. And they have got very safe hands.
And it is such a turnaround from yesterday where it did really feel like the Chaz show. Today, the rest of the team really are answering up and saying we hold ourselves to a much higher standard than that. And that is not the way we want to go out of this competition. So let's see what they can do to try and close things out because 2 Dragons in, 15 minutes in. Not going to find the first turret, but they're not too far behind by putting pressure topside now.
Multiple turrets do drop there, like you're seeing. Schoenfire starts to get pressured out of the jungle. Will use the smite to secure the camp and is going to group back towards mid with his mid laner.
Look how rough it is for Chippy though. He's less gold than Poltron in the jungle. He's been completely routed out. Massive CS deficit, constant pressure as well. It's an ugly sight.
Certainly is. Is about 40 CS down as well as a full turret now, so. Like we said at the very start, Skim, it's one of those lanes where you make a mistake, it can go from bad to worse, but sometimes it's as simple as a jungler being there at the wrong time. And everything goes from worse to impossible. Suddenly the game swings because a Wukong was there at the perfect time. The 2v2 goes their way. You know, Schoenfire can't come up to assist. Schoenfire also struggling a little bit as well with this Sejuani. Also must be said, it's the first time we've seen him with this Sej pick, I believe. 6 games of Lee Sin, 2 games of Vi, 2 games of Wukong. Now 1 of the Sejuani.
Yeah, something a little bit different here. And you'd say definitely wants to gravitate towards the Jax to make Valley look good from that draft. It's a combined unit, very weak factor right now. And certainly in a Fiora, which gets a free pass to not only win the 1v1s, but then be that split pushing nightmare that everybody seems to fear. And all that great work where Dongy was ahead with items and tempo, I mean, Chaz has completely matched it now.
With their LCO campaign on the line here, it does feel like Pentanet have got their backs against the wall. The gold lead is not really of note right now. There is just a clear lead reflecting through top lane. But a 3-1 and 2 mid laner that has a Rise ultimate and is getting into the fights constantly is an issue that Pentanet will have to constantly consider. We're also at the point of the game where Lucian and Anami, with their mythics done or their first items completed, start to group up in mid lane. This is where Lucian and Nami, don't forget this, are their strongest as well. And any ADC who tries to answer it is vulnerable and at risk. Especially if this turret goes down, there is even less space available to them on the map that could be deemed as safe. And so the objective control naturally starts to fall the way of the Direwolves from that as well. And they already have the first 2 Drakes of this game. With an Infernal up in a minute, I mean, it's going to need some pretty good gameplay from Pentanet to keep up.
It certainly is. I mean, it just have so much damage with all these Sheen items purchased. They can put in a ton of work if left unattended, and that's exactly what they've just done there. Found themselves another opportunity, and will now have free reign of this mid lane. Hook goes up, but it's only a clone. Ultron with some invaluable information there, knowing that 3 members are here. Chippy still work cut out for him, and it's not going to get any backup anytime soon. They've most certainly got their eyes set on this 3rd dragon, which is up in 20 seconds. And I'm curious to see, would PGG go for it?
I mean, they definitely will feel pressured to. They don't have 2 items completed on both of their carries, however. So if you actually stock take the strength, this Rise is large. Nami able to empower that as well. So if they're not careful with how they play it out, this is really risky for Pentanet.gg. But they've got their numbers set up, and Direwolves have resolved themselves to say it isn't a do or die Drake. they're actually putting more pressure towards top lane because this current winning Zoranus, what if he's winning even harder? What if he has a Nexus or an inhibitor to threaten in one fell swoop? Pensnet have to answer.
Yeah, Chippy's dice here. It really is the impossible dream. Bubble goes out, goes wide. Miasma is there to try and prevent them from finding much more than just this tower. But it's gone. That's all they really wanted. Anything else was a bonus. Nearly finding a second charge, and that would have been a miracle. But now a playground. So many towers taken. A playground for this Fiora to flourish in.
Yeah, cheeky Shelly opened her eye at the last second there. She wasn't sure if she was going to or not. You never know with old Geraldine. Does open her eye. Chippy's able to hit that one. Does lose his inner turret top lane though. Has managed to catch up in terms of CS differential from 40 back to 20, which is something, but is just behind and just stays there. And his role is going to be actually similar to what we saw from Zoranus in previous games, which is be a threat in team fights to the Lucian, right? Be a threat to the enemy carries when it comes to those team fights.
Yeah.
Jax isn't landlocked into split pushing. Jax can team fight. And he's going to have to if he wants Pensnet to succeed.
And they're going to have to win those team fights because if they put their eggs into that basket and lose that, well, they're losing in the split push as well. And then it really does become a rather uphill battle, as if it isn't already. But it's still very close at this stage of the game. 2K is all that separates them. Pensnet were able to get that third dragon, so buy themselves some crucial time, more so than anything, and deny an early soul point for Direwolves, and at least have a little bit more command of the objective control. And I think that's crucial because you do want things like level 16 for your Aphelios, for your Cassiopeia.
And this is actually an exciting little thing for me as well. You highlighted the Essence Reaver before, but Praetor's gone for the ADC Lucian build. It is the Infinity Edge after, not going to be the Navori Quickblade, which means he isn't a mid-game spell slinger. He is a mid to late game carry with a crit build. So he's very much heavily prioritizing that crit damage as junglers are going to trade blows. Scuttle Crab is up and available, but so is the Baron buff. And this feels like neither team should be hitting the Baron. They're just posturing in the area, perhaps looking for an excuse to fight.
Both split pushes will have TP available to them.
Not the Praetor in mid lane by himself angle.
No, please say it's not so. Oh, what? What? Huh?
Consider yourself controlled.
Sometimes we get angry at Vision.
You ever hate Vision so much that you just chuck an ult at it?
What was that?
He was trying to, if you watch it from Pensnet's point of view, he was trying to blind predict the Lucian. Perhaps he was just going to recall anyway, and I mean, let's be honest, best case scenario, if that ult hits, maybe you get a cleanse. Maybe Praetor freaks out because an ult hit him from Fog of War and you get a cleanse. But I think he was just trying to blind predict the movement. Praetor went bot side anyway. So for us, he looks like a bit of a dummy.
Appy is the one to get jumped on right now. Cyclone is there. In comes the Realm Walk. Chaz repositioning. Tidal Wave's going to knock up the entirety, but Violet, who's managed to run away for the meantime. Summoner Hill used. Chunfire barely surviving. And quite honestly, I'm really surprised that no one died.
Yeah, very surprising that he was able to get out with his life, but it does mean the teleport was forced from Dongi. And you can see as well, Direwolves, they're just going to hit the Baron buff. Chippies has to stay in the area, and Direwolves do not need to complete this. They can just disengage at 4k HP, they'll get a turret in bottom lane for this, and it is still a winning trade. And they buy so much time for Zoranus that he just freely earns money for the squad, freely earns money for himself. 215 CS at 23 minutes, no slouch, keeping up with the rest of his team. Good little decision there from Direwolves, knowing the teleport was already used, so they had no answer but to stay.
Yeah, really nice when you get a successful Baron dance off like that and able to find the reward and really force your opponent into a bit of a checkmate situation. Freely disengage away now, not get punished, and now be able to spend all that money you've just been able to achieve. Ravenous Hydra shouldn't be then too far away, and at that point, I mean, your cleave damage is unbelievable. Your sustain is just a little bit too much to bear.
So for the side of Pensnet, however, they were able to get that third Drake. So they were able to give themselves 5 minutes. They're now setting up for the next Drake as it spawns. If Dire will secure this one, it's not an Infernal Soul. It's just that soul point. Praetor gets Hex Flashed out.
Yeah, just turns around with a culling, however. Still has double summoners intact, so he's going to be feeling pretty confident about that one. There was no real need to try and chuck out the ultimate there from Schönfire.
Yeah. Skimmy, a Sejuani and a Nautilus walk up to a Lucian that has support. Probably not going to be a kill without their damage supporting them. And the big thing that I wanted to mention as well, this game is going to become about Violet and Dongi once again.
Yep.
Absolutely it is, especially when Schönfire is playing a supportive role with the Sedge pick. He has got his 2 items done, right? The Infinity Edge build means if he has blue weapon for a fight around the Drake, it could be really impactful. She does. And if anything was going to get them across the line and turn what is like a 4k gold deficit into an even game state, it could be Direwolves taking fights that they don't need to.
It could be us certainly seeing a Gale Force in for a 1v5 Moonlight Vigil to try and be the star of the show. Well, Pentanet, you can have your Dragon, you can have your second stacked up quite nicely, but we will just continue to siege. Now, 5 turrets to 1. And it just feels like Direwolves are running rings around the map, saying, wherever you go, we'll find something. We're always trading up, and we're always playing to what our comp excels at. Rise mobility and Fiora split push. Now, Chaz is going to get denied of that Realm Warp thanks to the depth charge. That one is going to be cancelled, and in a 1v4 situation, certainly has his work cut out for him. Even if he does have the lifeline from that Seraph's Embrace, not enough to survive like that. Dongi's going to take over to level 16, got a shutdown, which is massive for them. Question is, would PGG decide to chase on further? The question is no.
I think they might even look at the Baron. I wonder how they choose to play this out. See if they can pressure Zoranus to move his way over here, because he just breaks the inner turret bottom and is winning his 1v1 against Chippies. Is an issue, and Pentanet know that, so they feel pressured to make this play. Look at Praetor, hook goes wide.
Is this the 50-50? I think it is right now. Appy in a lot of trouble. Locket has to be burnt. He's still living for the meantime. There goes the Moonlight Vigil. Finds one. No, not enough damage, really.
Baron almost wipes them, to be perfectly honest. Violet disengaging there, loses 80% of his HP, mostly to the Baron attacking him. And so they are forced to disengage. They are forced to go back to base. Skimmy, the game continues. Dire will sacrifice 2 Drakes for the purpose of making money, for controlling and opening the map up in their favor. And I mean, 6-1 in turrets is a sizable lead in terms of control.
Yeah.
This is the next really crucial couple of minutes for the Pentanet squad. Your backs are against the wall. You have no space left to work with. You have to pull out something to get to this next Drake, to get to this Baron buff when it becomes an issue to fight for again. Hook goes wide at the start of this. The Sejuani dash gets cancelled as well by Poltron getting into the fight, and the Cassiopeia ult does not find a stun. Easy little skirmish there to pick up Appy and walk away with their lives intact. Stopping that Baron was the only real goal.
And I mean, Chippy's had TP advantage while Zoranus didn't, but he was so locked inside the base that if he TPs in to try and force the numbers advantage, they just lose an inhibitor. And at every single state, it just continues to be this case of you lose one for a potential flip, which is so undesirable. Down in another 5k hole. Out goes the ult! Is this the classic? Is this the way back in? Praetor is able to burn the flash. The cleanse was on cooldown, so they tried to find a moment. Now is very susceptible if they were to go back to Baron again.
Certainly is, and they're going to go back to it on vision and clear it out. Chaz nearby, so the fact that they're hitting this invites the fight, which means they want the fight. Tidal Wave comes through.
Zoranus is not here, and remember, he has no TP.
4k health as well on the Baron. It's going down really quickly. Direwolves can see it. The fight has to happen here, and Zoranus is here now.
He's here now. The Baron's still low. Poltron jumps in, looking for Violet. Finds him at the very end there. Goes in one more time, but Poltron eventually falls on down. Chaz finds Appy. Violet still untouched in the backline with the ideal weapon setup. Able to do so much damage from a million miles away. But his front line, they've taken so much damage that they have to disengage.
Bit of deja vu here as well. Appy, the only casualty of war in the last skirmish, goes down once again. And it's Direwolves' turn to hit the Baron buff and try and draw Pentanet's attention to the Purple Worms just getting tortured. Teleport comes through from Chaz, Chippies and Dongi both as well. And here we go again.
Face check from Chaz, the fall on towards the Cassiopeia. Petrifies engage, goes out nice and early in the Moonlight Vigil. On top of that, Glacial Prison. Look to do so much damage. Can they find that kill? Finally, Chippies jumps in and takes down Praetor. If you've got no summoners, you've got no chance. That's the kill he is so sorely needed. And it took 29 minutes to find.
Dongi falls, but at the cost of 3, and Pentanet win a team fight. 29 minutes in, 4k gold down. They are successful. Poltron can consider the steal. But at the end of the day, he's not going to find any purchase in getting into the river in the first place. Pentanet will secure the fight. They'll get the Baron. They bring the gold way back down. And if we watch this one more time, I had my eyes firmly on Zoranus and where he was and how this fight breaks out, because he no longer has a flank angle. They find the bubble, they lock down Dongi, but the cooldowns are there, and Violet essentially gets the free hit throughout the entirety of this and onto the most important member as well in that Fiora. And by the time Chaz gets to put any damage down, close to one hits him. But it was too little too late. His top laner was gone. And Pensanet win the fight.
Two very important shutdowns found there for both Dongi and Chippies to make sure the gold is going in all the right places. And now with the Baron, they can look at their third successive Dragon. 3 Infernals stacked up. Might just be enough to make up that 2k deficit.
And all of the time the Dire will spend making money has been undone if Pensanet win the fight. And the Drake!
Oh, he tried. He tried so hard. He's forced to flash away to safety.
Violet gets it. Not something you would expect to have seen with 2 smites walking around in the pit. The ever-present issue of a Fiora still exists. Chaz being able to play towards and hovering that lane also still existed as an issue. The Pensanet give themselves angles. Pray to... That wall feels extremely cold right now. And Chippies wasn't there. He'd already walked off. Bit of a back massage for Summoner's Rift.
Look, he's just hit the animation and said, you know, it is what it is. I'm not going to cancel it. Let some frustration out.
Tokyo drift back towards the minions.
Yeah, what a situation we find ourselves in now in that game too. 3 dragons picked up by Pensanet, and with the Baron, what was a 7k difference is now back to really just 1k. They've managed to find 3 turrets as a result.
It's a hook that I think Appy's glad he missed as well. Poltron just tries to get in and stop the dash over the wall. Top laners again.
Yeah,
it's Dongi.
It's up for the challenge. Riposte goes out, tries to beat out the petrifying gaze, but the challenge has been set. In comes Chippies, in comes Schoenfire, everything to try and protect him, and Dongi still survives. He had to burn a flash, but that Fiora is so terrifying.
All 5 members there as well. I mean, Zoranus plays it well. He times the riposte perfectly, but the ult wasn't stunning him. And so he couldn't actually hit the riposte stun and confirm the kill. Reinforcements do come through. And Chippy's not feeling safe, just not knowing where the rest of the Direwolves are as they've crossed the river, completely blind in the fog of war of Pensanet. He won't be able to go for the turret. But still 3 items done for this Jack Skimmy. 3 items done for all of the carries, and that's important, right? A Cassiopeia and an Aphelios as well. They've risen the ranks in terms of gold, and now they go toe-to-toe with Direwolves. What was a 5k, 6k gold lead is now a game that's favoring Pensanet.
Yeah, you can see now your mid lane as well as your bot lane completely matched. That is where we definitely had our spotlight focused on. Level 18 found here by Dongi. A late game Cassiopeia, one to certainly be feared. And as they look to siege up a storm right now, instant cleanse, great flash away from Appy's hook. And a turret that is still going to fall. The tidal wave goes out, tries to dissuade Schoenfire from finding much more, but his job is already done. I think that Baron has found as much as it can really get.
And Pensanet just stand and deliver. They go for the turret. Direwolves try and come and contest this one. They're not able to find it. I didn't think we'd be in this position with how the game started, but to say the least, they hang on, they find their angles, and Pensanet persevere to a point where they can fight. And they just catch Direwolves in this endless Baron dance that we saw. They get the smallest of ins, and suddenly this game comes back to what I feel like is just this constant curse Skimmy of Fiora in Oceania.
Yeah.
I don't want to say it's the Fiora's fault, but it feels like Fiora is cursed in our region.
Well, it was 6 turrets to 1 for Direwolves. Now essentially back to an even game. It is a rough affair, and as strong as a Fiora can be, certainly in those side lanes, the weakness always seems to be a case when you do group up. How do you function?
Well, that's exactly it, right? Like, let's elaborate quickly on what I mean by a Fiora curse. It's more a 1-3-1 curse that I'm looking at as well. I don't know if any OS team is capable of being the best team in the region while playing 1-3-1. Flash used by Decoy. Poltron gets himself out as well with the W, but ultimately playing a Ryze in a Fiora composition lends yourself to winning through side lanes, and that's what you're going to see from Direwolves. We're going to hit a point in this game where the obvious play from Direwolves is to keep Pensanet split, separate them constantly, and play for those sides.
Oh, TP comes in and Dongi's in so much trouble right now, forced to run straight down the river. That's where his team is fighting right now. The Culling doing so much work onto Appy. Poltron Cyclone isn't going to be enough to get kill confirmed. Redemption goes down, and Redemption found by Violet, who gets that shutdown, gets that double kill, gets that kill to showcase that these stats mean something, and we want to take it to that game 3.
The Direwolves choose to not just play for a side lane, but force a fight in mid lane at the same time. The reinforcements of Pensinet come through, the teleport from Chippies is there, and they find their mark with the Lucian. Now an inhibitor is at risk of falling. Zoranus dashes in, they want to contest.
Oh, Bubbles landed, and that's a lot of damage onto Chippies, who's so lucky to be alive. Single-digit HP it has to be. There's no
Well, they've
way.
got Violet.
But now they find another one instead. Violet is gone, no chance to flash, hits the heal, but it does not matter. And this is when Fiora looks good in a team fight, because you just run them down
The
one
ghost
by
is on.
one. You've got so much movement speed, and you just pick them apart.
And just a highway to top lane. Zoranus is going to take the Krugs on the way, changes his mind, realizes he's got a wave to push with. And they will just continue on. What was an infernal soul point for Pensinet becomes a loss, pushing down mid lane and going too far.
You can't call this game.
You cannot call what's going to happen next. We watched the skirmish that happens in the river first and foremost. Note that the Fiora's just teleported top to help. They're not coming to this fight. Chippy's teleport's half a screen, but he wants to get here as fast as possible, and Praedyth is the target. Wukong's used the ult. Praedyth just dead, just gone, removed from this earth completely. And Violet got to stand and deliver with red and white weapons. Direwolves lose a fight they probably shouldn't be taking, followed by winning a fight that Pensinet probably shouldn't be taking because they want the inhibitor. And now they have a Baron. And we're back to even.
We're back to where we all were just moments prior, really. I know, it's crazy at this late stage where the respawn timers are that high. You've just been able to go in and say, well, thank you for giving us the opportunity to deny you of that soul point, and for us to now pick up the Baron and showcase just how much work we can do with this one. So, goes back to really your point of how well can Direwolves use this Baron in that 1-3-1 setup that they've been constantly threatening.
So quick check-in with a couple of really important things as well. 2 stopwatches done for the side of Direwolves. They've completed 2 of those, so they're ready to go for the next skirmish. But they have no flashes on anyone but Poltron. On the Pensinet side, Chippies, Dongi, and Violet have their flash. Praedyth does have the cleanse, so if Sejuani goes on him, he can cleanse himself out of it. That will be very important for staying alive in the next fight, as Schoenfire has put an absolute scope onto Praedyth's noggin. Trying to keep him busy. But the most important thing is with a Baron buff, Direwolves can 1-3-1. They can push these waves incredibly easily and start to threaten side lane turrets. As long as the Jax can't fight the Fiora, it is an angle that Direwolves have. And it's not just the 1-3-1, it's also having the Ryze come bottom, right? You can suddenly just kill Chippies and take a turret, snipe it away extremely fast and cheat that tempo with Ryze ult and have a Baron buff to kill turret.
Even Ryze ult in the Baron-inspired minions, right? So you can definitely do a lot of different options based on what is presented for you. And it does really feel like if we're not going to find anything crazy in these next few moments, we could just be waiting for the conclusion at that next dragon in less than 3 minutes now. It feels like really we're working towards 4 items, 4 builds, with 4 already being complete.
I was putting all of their emphasis on the red side jungle as well on Pensinet's side of the map, leaving Zoranus isolated. He's ulted.
He has ulted. He's taken the challenge to Chippies. Schoenfire's there to ward him away. The culling goes out just to tickle the minions in mid lane.
This is for sure the hardest point of the 1-3-1 as well. It can be so annoying to deal with. They chip away at your structures. The Baron buff's there and demolish blocks like you just saw from Zoranus, and a turret dies.
Ooh.
Sedge ult used.
Completely airballs the Sedge ult, as you say. Yeah, and I mean, look at this. Zoranus is commanding 3 members' presence. Violet in the mid lane trying to do as much cleave damage as he can, but the fight still continues in the bot lane, and Zoranus is just winning. He's removed Chippies. He's got the whole breaker, so he's just so strong in isolation, but now grouped up together. Tidal Wave hits nothing, goes golden, comes out, and will die, and to the one member that he could not afford to die to. Violet finds another shutdown.
The cannon's going to push in mid lane as well, and Pensinet go top lane knowing the inhibitor's gone and will lose mid at the same time.
They found 2.
They can't make their mind up, and suddenly 2 inhibitors are gone. Hook finds just the clone.
They might get 3.
Direwolves threaten, they pressure the 1-3-1, they force errors out of Pensinet. That's exactly what they find.
The perfect base assault, you have to be said. I mean, every single inhibitor taken, all spawning, synced up and ready to go at the same time. And now, how do you ever leave your base to try and contest that soul point, let alone the Baron, knowing that a TP Furor can always just look to try and split push and end?
And 1-3-1's hard to execute, but with a Baron buff, suddenly it becomes a lot easier. And it's the little details as well, like Zoran is having a stopwatch and a W cooldown coming back by 3 seconds. That's 3 whole seconds that Chaz is hitting the top inhibitor. Right, that's the difference between getting it or being dissuaded and pushed away. Time was on their side because they had the Baron buff. Now they get to go back and shop and spend all of that money they earned as a result of getting all 3 inhibitors down. Pensinet can clear super minions pretty easily when you look at a Cassiopeia and a Jax as 2 of their options. The Aphelios that speaks for itself. Full build right now as well. And that's the person that we can never forget about. When these fights happen, you know what Violet is capable of. He's the superstar of this squad for a reason. And now with their backs against the wall and all 3 inhibitors gone, one good team fight from an Aphelios could just wipe Dial.
It's a full item over Praetor solution right now. The GA versus the stopwatch. It really has hit that point of conclusion. 40 minutes in. One of the most epic rivalries we've had this split, where games have gone the distance. And it's certainly not disappointed again.
They can't get there. They just can't get there in time. They're on the red side of the map. The Infernal Soul just goes to Direwolves. I don't think that's something that Pensinet really could afford to get out of the base for, with the double supers crashing constantly. They just take the money that they're being given. Spend that extra minute of time where Direwolves are setting up for the Drake. Get the extra 1,000 gold into their pockets. See if that turns into an item, and maybe that's the difference in damage that they need.
Well, they're going to have to find some way to at least contest this Baron, even if it is a solo mission from Schönfire. But with the amount of control that Direwolves have, every part of this map belongs to them with vision. And with their presence alone, Appy jumps in, Poltron goes with the Cyclone as well. Schönfire in trouble, both junglers at the forefront of all the damage. And Zoranus is now looking to try and keep Chippies entertained in this bot lane, looking to go for that 1v1. Looking to absolutely one-tap him in the process. That was one lunge and one vital.
I mean, very much a lot of damage coming out of Zoranus. He is an issue, and Pensinet do not know how to deal with him. In saying that, 2 auto attacks come out of Violet, and Chaz was half HP as well. And that was 2 auto attacks from the turret he put down, not even from him. Still threats present everywhere, but the control over the map for Pensinet completely gone, and a Baron buff gone just as quickly.
And just so landlocked, such rough timing with when these inhibitors were taken. It's made it very impossible for PGG to escape their base. A minute 30, and they'll have those back up to play with. And they'll be praying that this Baron isn't enough to end the game and potentially flip it at, say, the Elder in 4 minutes' time.
And no more mistakes allowed. Pensinet need to win the next team fight or their game ends. And their split one of the LCO ends with it. Dai was threatening, knocking down the door at the same time in 3 different lanes, pressuring with this Baron buff that they just secured. It's going to take 2 people to deal with Zoranus. And if they send 2 people there, suddenly a Rise gets to exist. It's all about Violet for me. He's got the overheal. He's got the red weapon. He's a threat.
Certainly is a threat. And he's going to do a lot of work in trimming these waves right now. 40 seconds, inhibitors are back. Direwolves inside the base with waves crashing. Triple supers to contend with. 2 very healthy Nexus turrets. But for how much longer? The Wukong clone bears a ton of damage. PGG venting their aggression here, but still holding strong for the meantime.
And the engage is going to come onto Violet 100%. He is standing so far in the front line because he has to. He has to be there to clear these waves. He's cycling through those weapons. Just teasing Poltron, saying this is the fight that you want. Seeing if he can draw him in. He's about to run out of ammo on this red weapon, so he's going to lose the shielding. And he's saving the blue to clear the waves when the pressure comes in. But the inhibitors are respawning. Hook just misses Praetor.
As soon as they respawn, they might just fall down as easily once again. Zoranus once again teasing at that 1v1, nearly taking out Chippies in the process, saying if I win that 1v1, I get these Nexus
He's threatening the end.
Well, there is one. He is threatening for the end, and that is Poltron so lucky to be alive, but eventually falls on down. The poison is cantankerous to contend with. And Zoranus is just being such a demon on the flank.
The jungler of Direwolves for cycling of all 3 inhibitors, though, is certainly a trade that you will take when there is 2 minutes and 20 seconds until the next Elder Dragon spawns. What that means is that Pensinet, where they're walking right now to place vision, should just try and find a control ward position that is a wide flank. Otherwise, all of these wards are going to dissipate before the objective spawns. So if you were Appy, I think in this position, you try and place a control ward near like the Krugs or something, right? It was maybe a Hail Mary option that you had, just to see if you can spot them. Because ultimately, you're about to place those wards, reset, and just pray that you can keep the minions busy. But you saw what Zoranus can do. He's not going to stop doing that. You go for the Elder, he ends the game. There is 1 turret left. Yep. He has Demolish. Jax cannot stop him by himself. It's going to be Dongy and Chippy sitting in that base to deal with him.
And don't tell me this series ends the same way their last 2-0 happened, where it was literally a case of Direwolves walking in and saying, hang on a minute, we can just end.
Dongy about to walk to that top wave. You can see how hesitant he is. He wants to wait for it to come towards him. You know, as well as Pensinet knows, that Jax is not dealing with that Fiora. So they send the Cassiopeia to deal with the waves that the Fiora is at. There's a Jax versus Rise on the bottom side.
Does this just feel like checkmate to you, though? A minute on Elder, triple inhibitors taken again. How do you ever leave the base?
I mean, they're pinched in multiple places. You leave, Fiora ends. If you don't leave, Elder is a win condition, and they're just going to be too strong and just kick down the front door. Chaz is the target. 50 seconds. Teleport comes in as well.
Yeah, goes
cancelled him.
Oh, great miasma. The 1v1 between the 2 mid laners. Petrifying Gaze is there, but Zoranus is ending the game. As is Brave. Don't tell me it ends this way again. And Direwolves in back-to-back series get the perfect 2-0 and send PGG home. They're gone. Their split one ends in 4th position. And the project, the gamble, the testing and the trying of playing from Perth to verse some of the very best overseas hasn't worked out. And Direwolves, having lost in their initial moments up against PGG, have cracked the codes and now are 4-0 in their recent visits.
2 best-of-3s in a row, though. Like you just mentioned, Pensinet against Direwolves ends in a very similar way, with a Nexus just being split-pushed or backdoored, and Pensinet just left reeling, realizing they had no good answers, just desperately trying to find something. But similar to how that game started, Mac, it started in Direwolves' favor early, and that's just where it finished.
Let's go, Cameron! Zoranus. Yeah, we call each other by our first name. We're tight like that.
Did you say Carrot?
Cammy Whammy.
Cammy Whammy. Oh, of course. That's exactly what he wants to hear coming into the LCO
No
straight
bias on
after
the
a
couch.
double
No
like
bias.
that.
No bias.
Not
on
like
this
we
guy.
all went for
bias over
Pensinet.
here. We all went for
Not
PGG.
like we did that.
We were just trying to hide our bias. But look, I was saying what you guys were saying. As soon as I saw those 2 players just jumping on the Nexus, I was just like, not again, not again. That one's gonna hurt so much for PGG. Ah, Kitty, tell me what went down this game. And also, I just need to say, before you break this down, that was the most involved I've seen Kitty in a game in that green room. She was trying to make calls like, what are you doing? You just wasted 4 seconds before you made that call. Just molding. Anyway,
I was so
it was
emotional
fun.
over this game. Yeah, that specific call was when PGG was getting their triple inhibs the second time. And I was like, why are you wasting 3 seconds? Just go to the bottom inhibitor. But this game, what a wonderful comeback for DW. There were a lot of back and forths, but when the Fiora is online with this whole breaker, the Jax is never going to win in that skill matchup when you use the parry correctly. But even Chaz making a lot of these plays towards the side lane, the 1-3-1 ended up working for the side of Dials. I mean, Praetor and Decoy also had a pretty decent series as well. I think they did have that one misplay, which did result in this, but Zoranus and Chaz melted everyone from just matters of seconds as PGG overstayed from that inhibitor. And from this point onwards, it was pretty unwinnable for the side of PGG because triple inhib, I believe the statistic of coming back from a triple inhibitor is like 1%, because you just lose all your major objectives, you lose all your vision control, and you can't ever engage as you have a Fiora consistently pressuring the side lane.
They almost came back though. When they were clearing, you know, they just managed to clear Zoranus poked his head in, got that third inhib again. But you saw those health bars for PGG as well. There were so many members that were almost out of it, almost could have been taken out. And PGG, they could smell it, they could taste it, and unfortunately it was just the
It's
bait.
an M.
Yeah, the absolute
for Mac.
Himalayas up there. M for Mac?
M for Mac, but I do also want to give credit to Violet. Look at the damage on this Aphelos. It doesn't matter in those teamfights. He was still tossing out so much damage.
Also, 46-22, I believe that is a new longest game for the split so far.
Yep, it is.
So beating it by a couple of minutes there, and that's a nice little ficky fact. Also, bloody 7 Drakes almost made it to the Elder, but it wasn't even necessary. Just that thought of the Elder, the pressure of the Elder, allowed the opening for the end.
Yeah, the end was 4 dials, but I also wanted to highlight this Cassiopeia pick because I think the main difference between these two compositions in the late game is that we didn't have a single good Cassiopeia ultimate when it did come to the 5v5s. I believe there was one fight at Baron where Dongy just completely whiffed it, but it didn't matter because Chippies was playing towards the backline and occupied the entirety of PGG for that entire fight, which split up in the very end. So it was still a winning fight, but Dongy on this Cassiopeia, it didn't have the presence that they would have wished for compared to Chaz on Rise.
Look, someone that got their wish come true today is Pradith. Mate, he's here for the post-match. How are you feeling after that one? Did it help you today, the game being that little bit later in the evening?
Like, unironically, it actually did, because I've been getting less sleep because I'm taking care of a dog and he barks all night. So I need the game to start preferably like 7 or 8 so I can get enough sleep. So I'm just waking up in the middle of the night permanently. So yeah, it's actually a big buff for me. Hopefully everyone's worked today.
You heard that, producers? We've got to start scheduling dials to 7 or 8 p.m. for Predator to play at his prime. It has been an ongoing conspiracy on the couch for the past 2 weeks about if Dials' games being earlier really reflected the results. But obviously, you guys 2-0'd PGG, knocking them out of the LCO for Split 1. How good does it feel, especially when Violet talks so much smack in that pre-game interview?
I didn't see the pre-game interview, but like honestly, I think all 5 games last week he played a lot better than me. So like it's honestly warranted. But as you can see, Pentanet are nothing without me. A bot 4 finish, yeah, a bot 5 finish. That's pretty embarrassing. So yeah.
Whoa, Mac, did you smell that one? That's spicy. Jesus Christ! Not against your old organization.
Got me
Pradith.
tearing up a little bit. Jeez. Anyway, Pradith, look, going through that lower bracket, who would you prefer to play for that 3rd place position, for that second and last chance to make it into the PCS playoffs? Would you prefer Bliss to lose this next game that's going on tomorrow, or would you prefer to play up against Chiefs?
Honestly, it's pretty cool to see Bliss doing so well, because they're I don't think anyone would have said any players in their teams top 3 in the region. So seeing them be top 2 is pretty cool. But at the same time, they're all just so annoying. So I really want to verse them in a best of 5 and just beat them down and hopefully shut them up.
Talking about annoying people, Zoran is on the Fiora. He was super annoying for that last game. So were you guys happy with how the draft went? And you guys were obviously going for the 1-3-1, which we haven't seen too much success in the OCE region. However, it is still very common. Were you guys happy with the outcome?
I wish we didn't have to show our split push, because I think we are very good at it. Obviously, I think we made a few mistakes last game because we had a very big advantage and then we kind of blundered a bit. But I think the rest of the game we played quite well. And, it's not my preferred style, because, I'm not sure how much damage I did that game, but I'm pretty sure 80% of my damage was just from cullings, because I can't, we're not team fighting, right? We're into Cassiopeia, Aphelios, Sejuani, we're not team fighting. So games for that is just really annoying for me. I'm glad I got some action at the end. I got to flash on the Nexus and cull the minions down. That was pretty fun. But that game was so boring for me.
Look, either way, boring or not, you got the win. That's what matters. Praedyth will let you go. Enjoy the day off tomorrow as you watch that upper bracket final.
Rest up, King.
Thank you.
Mans was happy. Also, a lot of heat coming out of that mouth today. Oof.
Not much has changed from Praedyth in that respect,
Look,
right? He's still got a lot to say.
That
No, he
must
did
feel
change.
good.
He did change. He didn't swear.
I-
That's
well,
character
the interview's a lot more
development.
humble than a couple of years ago, but it must feel good to be like, I was a starting member of the PGG roster. You replace me, and now look what's happened. That must feel pretty good deep down.
Definitely sending a message. Now look, we have a Dare MVP to crown. And who knows who it could have been, because all the Direwolves played out of their bloody minds. Let's see what Twitch chat decided was up top, and it was Zoranus. So that makes sense. He was up top all game, in fact. But also down bot and in middle, and always on his own, and always been annoying everywhere on the Rift. Just dishing out damage.
Yeah, crushed on the Gnar, had no real answer. Obviously got to showcase
kill.
that, look, I am the Gnar of the region, and got it done. Obviously in the second game it was banned away and said, well, I can play the Fiora. Showed a completely different style, made the Fiora work, was winning in team fights, was winning in split push, was basically putting PGG in an unwinnable position.
You know, Mac, I actually got a bit of a sneak peek as Zoranus was in the practice tool playing Fiora last night. So I was like, oh, so we're playing Fiora tomorrow, huh? And that's exactly what they played. And he popped off on it. So I'm assuming those practice tools, shout out to whoever was doing the practice tool with him, did a great job.
There was also that point where he did try to 1v5 in base. You know, it was a 1v2, which turned into a 1v5 very quickly. Had to pop the stasis. But look, let's have a quick look at what the best play of the day was. There's only a small sample size, of course, 2 maps in a best of 3. Ooh, let's see what it was. And again, it looks like it's going to be from
The
game
Karaki
1.
team fight, the big pop.
Yeah, big pop. But I also think it is the big Quadra coming out from Big Man Z. Cammy Whammy, so to speak, yeah?
Big Cammy Whammy on the Mega Gnar going
Cammy
in,
Whammy!
gets a 3-man knockup, stuns Dongy, catches him off as that straggler. Violet trying to get away with that cleanse as well. Flash
never
from
found out if
Praedyth,
he likes
but
it.
everyone is so dear low. And Zoranus, even as the mini Gnar, is just picking kills up left and right. And Direwolves takes the game away
The
with a
accent's
1
changing as
and
you go.
0.
Where did you end up?
I don't know.
You started as Kitty, you
Your
ended up as a
play-by-play is
completely
a
different
journey.
human.
I'm like subscribing to an international broadcast at this point.
I've actually...
I love lemon.
I've got a line. Laura, could we run that back, just the back half of that fight one more time? Can we just run the second half of that fight back one more time? Just have a quick look at it.
What are you cooking up,
Oh,
Mac?
what's,
Yeah, I've got
what's
something
this guy
cooking.
giggling
What
at?
is, what is
Smells
Mr.
over
Cook,
there.
Mac?
All right, here we go. Let's have a look one more
Stinky
time.
over there.
Play
He's got a
today.
zinger.
Jeez.
All right, so we've got Cammy, Whammy, Cammy Slammy, Cammy Bammy, and Cammy Kablammy! There you go.
You could have started with Cammy Can He.
Do you want to run it back one more
Run
time?
it back one more time. Oh, no.
Actually, do you want to give it your yelling
No,
voice?
no, please. I can't yell right now.
Rusty won't do it. It's all right.
I had a coughing
It's not
fit
funny
during
when
the
we do
game,
it
man.
the 17th
right.
time. Either way, cool. All right, let's move on with the show. Let's have a look at the bracket after today's game is all over and Red Rover and move over PGG. They're gone.
Wow.
Down in 4th place, knocked out of the playoffs now, something which I don't think anyone would have thought. But you have to pick one team to be going out in 4th place. It's just so hard to do at the moment because all these teams are bringing their A game. And that means Direwolves are moving to that lower bracket final, which is going to be the Thursday game. But tomorrow, look at this upper bracket final. Another rematch between Chiefs against Bliss. Battle for Brizzy. And this one is for all the bacon.
Winner goes through. Winner makes it to the PCS playoffs. Winner gets a chance at going to MSI, and the loser has to take on the Direwolves for their second and last chance to get there. Only one team left that can be eliminated from the LCO.
Is this the tattoo game?
Oh, it has to be.
It has to be, right?
Has to be. But plus also this one decides first seed, which is fairly important also because PCS have PSG obviously, but PCS are looking very, very strong. So you want the best chance possible to try and go through and obviously represent OS.
Yeah, obviously, indeed. And look, we get to crown our first PCS playoff attendee tomorrow, and that is going to be in this game. 6 p.m. sharp here on the LCO on Twitch. .TV, Bliss up against the Chiefs. And we've seen it a few times now, but Bliss bringing in some crazy drafts yesterday. If they can keep that spice looking nice going into this upper bracket final, then the Chiefs have something coming for them. And like the Chiefs as well, we got to see their A game yesterday. So who knows what's going to happen if both these teams are playing out of their minds.
I'm excited, Mac, as today we say goodbyes to the best of threes, and tomorrow we welcome in the best of fives for the LCO. I'm sure our two casters are extremely excited for finally more than 3 games. But yeah, I am going to be so excited to see who is going to get that first seed and even second seed to go up against the PCS as yeah, I won't be here tomorrow.
No, you won't. But Max will.
Oh.
And Max
But
can
you
do this.
won't.
I can do that.
Go on, Giddy, let's go. Yeah, we look like a snack.
Screenshot. Hold it, hold it.
I'm a triangle.
Screen grab that. I'm going to put it right up against Max doing his tomorrow.
Wait,
I'm
I'm
gonna
doing it
compare
wrong.
the pair. Yeah, you want to put your elbows, push elbows forward, chest up, and wide back.
Damn!
Beautiful. Anyway, that's enough of that. Now, look, I think, do we have some from the fans left to have a quick squiz at? We have a couple of
How
from the
did
fans.
flat
which
spreads
we
become a thing? Like, how did this become
Look,
a
that's what the
weekly
LCO is
occurrence?
for. We do entertainment, then games.
Somebody called me shredded yesterday, and it just happened to come up. Either way, let's have a quick look at what's going down on the Twitter sphere. You guys, you got some poses for us, and Rusty has to do this. Yeah, I agree. Rusty's got to do that for a little
It's time.
photo.
It has to happen.
Damn.
There's a couple of other ones as well.
It's
Damn.
on the screen. It has to
It
happen.
was
It's
a shorter
always the
day.
Those are
ones
the
you
rules.
least expect, Rusty.
It was a shorter day.
You're a
so
dear
Damn.
co-caster.
look, after
Those are
menu
the
log
rules.
mealtime, we can definitely have a little bit of fun.
That's life, huh?
Yep, that is
Life
life.
comes for you quick.
You really don't want to have any fun, do you?
Nah.
Why? This isn't going to hurt your show. This isn't going to affect your volleyball career.
Can we have this as
Alright.
my farewell on LCO Split 1, please?
Well, I was going to do it anyway, but stop adding pressure. No,
All right, we
feel
got
like it's a really
couple
important
more
one.
to have a quick look at. Let's see what else has been submitted. Got
We're just getting each other.
Got him!
the foreigner cam, huh?
The best
Beautiful.
cam in League of Legends, honestly.
The best photo on Wikipedia.
The
on
best
LOL
photo.
True,
Wikipedia.
yeah, this is actually ripped from his LOL wiki, so it's immortalized.
I miss foreigner solely for this angle. We've got a few more to have a look at. Let's see who else it is. Also, follow that guy on Twitter, Rusty Lol, I think. Follow that guy too, Elfish guy.
But don't follow me.
L Fish Guy.
This was actually me
Believe.
just checking out Brecky at last stream hack.
So you have to channel the feeling of you're at a hotel looking at that
Look at those
breakfast like you
slippies,
need it.
mate.
I was just staunching. I was
The
letting the
hotel
breakfast
slippers.
know that I was about to
I'm
make it.
coming for
make
ya.
it my meal.
Oh,
I was like,
coming
you're
for ya.
going down. You're going to be my energy for today. Thank you, Jordan Elfish Man Maze, for that one. Also, a old fan of the LCO. That
you-
guy. We got one more to have a look at here as well.
Did you whisper to the food?
A whisper. Why would I whisper?
Did you
to
put
the
on
food?
your little voice like, oh, a little bit of cake?
Hello, Mr.
bit
Chia
of
Pudding. Hey, you're gonna go into
Oh,
my
you're gonna
belly? You want a little
do
bit
this
of chia in my little
So
billy
yum,
belly?
yeah, my
Hey,
tummy.
a little bit
Yum,
of billy
yum,
belly
yum,
in my little
yum.
chitty twitty.
Oh.
Didn't we do
Yum,
this
yum.
at DreamHack?
Like, you
We
know, drinking
had
Dairy Ice coffee. We have, yeah.
Emelgan Max, right?
And a Melg.
And I definitely did it with
So what if we get Max
someone.
to
I
do
think
this
Didn't Ovely do
tomorrow?
it as well?
I'm pretty sure I did it with Nat at some point. Like,
Did
when
Ovely
Nat
and
was
ML,
here.
they
That
split
was years
some
ago.
5 gun?
Yes, they
Oh, it
split
was
some
5
5
gun.
Right?
That's right. Well, it's
Yeah.
dare time now.
It's dare
Yeah.
time. But actually, it's not dare time.
It's not dare
It
time.
can be dare time, maybe at the end of menu log mealtime. But we've got to get to menu log mealtime. And to get there, we've got to go to a quick break. So don't go too far. Menu log mealtime, celebrity heads, bit of fun coming up after this. Hoggy Woggy Diggy Doggy Menu Loggy time again. It's Menu Log Meal time if you didn't understand the lyrical genius I was throwing at you. Bars. That's the one. Thank you. Now, look, Menu Log Meal time, of course. We're going to be having a little fun. But first,
I be there.
you got me with that one. Menu Pogs in the chat. Win yourself that $40 voucher and get yourself something yummy in your tummy on Menu Log, of course.
Yum, fruit
and
salad.
you don't get one, but you go in the
yummy.
running to get one. And then if you win, then you get one. You get to be lucky. Lucky just like Skimmy. The luckiest man I know. He looks a bit like a leprechaun, but actually not at all. No. Can we dress you up as a leprechaun?
Should I
at some
just become
point, though?
Irish?
Have a
Leprechaun
crack.
Vega.
Oh, potato. Is that what I got to do? Just going to start speaking like that? Top of the morning to ya. Is that what I got to do now? What accent am I anymore? I've lost my identity.
Yeah, I
Mac.
thought it'd get way
Who am
deeper
I?
than that. Who am I? Well, that's almost the game we're playing. We're playing Celebrity
Ooh,
Heads.
a pot of
Also,
gold at the end
if
of the
you're
rainbow.
feeling like
Whee!
snacks, spend, I think it's $20 between 5 p.m. and 5 a.m. on snacks from your grocery stores, from your 7-Elevens, etc. on Menu Log, and you can get yourself $10 off as well. You know, you might have seen that lower third hanging around on the show with the lady looking real deep down the chip packet and having to order more snacks, of course. Yes, do that. Do that as we do this. Who's on today? Me?
Yeah, you said you had like
Yeah,
a
you
whole
said it was
strap
you.
for tonight.
Yep.
Can I write it? Can I write
Yes,
it?
there
Can
you
I
go.
write
I'll
it?
get
Can I
my
write
crown
it? Can
ready.
I write it? Can I write it?
Yes, you can write it. Sorry, that was really aggressive.
I want to see what Kitty conjures up.
Oh, damn. The
He's never gonna
That's
guess. He is never
That's a play.
going to guess.
the crown being manually fitted.
The custom fit.
Ooh,
You got
beautiful. Yeah, it's stuck on now.
it? Yeah, nice.
Do I look good?
What are we dealing with?
Oh
You
my.
look like a king.
Is it a snack?
He
Oh
is never
my.
Is it
going
food or a
to
snack?
get
Because it
this.
is
Nah.
supposed to be a snack.
It's
but
a
if
snack.
But Kitty's gone ultra hard mode.
It's a,
To be fair, anything for me is a snack. 'Cause
it's
I
a
just-
snack.
I'll order a whole chook on Menu Log. And
It's
just-
just
that's a
it's a snack.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
I mean, yeah, fair. Yeah,
Right,
yeah,
three
yeah,
big
fair.
guesses, and we got time to fill. So let's see.
You can
Okay.
order on Menu Log, so
Oh, that's a great. I didn't ask. But
That's
thank you.
yeah, good, good.
But she just turns around and goes, when? Like, and you're just like, what?
Hey,
Ray showed on
all
air.
right. Am I dessert?
Kitty?
yes.
Okay. Am I a baked good?
No.
No.
Am I dairy?
Yes.
Am I creamy?
Sometimes.
Sometimes. Ooh. Yeah, I see where this gets difficult.
Yeah.
Am I cold?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Both.
Okay, yeah.
Oh, you're true? Yeah. Oh, no.
Cold or hot.
Could be both.
Ooh.
My instinct was
Am
yes.
I
though.
solid? Or am I liquid?
Yeah.
Liquid? Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
You're throwing Muffy said the other way. Yeah.
Am I chocolatey?
Could be.
Could be.
You can be chocolatey.
Could be.
Damn.
Am I fondue?
Is that a guess?
Just a fun dude,
That
mate.
is a guess,
That was a guess, yeah.
Nope.
but it is not fondue.
Oh. Dairy?
Revenge.
Oh,
yes,
yeah, nah.
sweet revenge.
Dairy, dairy
Smug.
dessert, cold. Wait, cold.
Or hot.
Remember the
Oh,
answer to
hot.
a lot of these was could be.
Deep fried ice cream.
Nah.
No.
It's a good guess. But it's not.
Down that vein, though? No, I've only got one guess left. Oh, no. I thought this would be heaps better. So you get them. Is it? Can I get it? If I ordered it on Menu Log here where we are, have you guys looked at what the list is? Could I get it?
Yeah, you can probably get it.
That doesn't help me.
Yes,
Because
you can get it.
I know what we can get on Menu Log here.
I
Yes,
would
you
say
can get
it's
it.
pretty likely.
Is it from? Can I get it from a fast food place?
Surely not.
No.
From
So is it like a fancy dessert?
It's a specific store only thing.
Oh.
That's like a little clue to help. Because don't give me that look.
Smile,
Fuck.
man. Actual evil smile.
Do I get if one of my flavors Oreo?
Can be.
Are you?
Can
I know
be.
what he's thinking of.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm not right then. All right. Oh my god.
So I'm like trying to not let him guess, knowing it's wrong. Oh, how do we?
What's Kitty's favorite flavor of me?
Original.
Do you have ice in yours?
Yeah.
Oh,
Original iced.
What about sugar?
How much sugar do you put in it?
is it caffeinated?
Yes, it is caffeinated.
What about sugar kitty?
Usually half sugar.
Half sugar.
Half sugar. Okay.
Full ice.
And you can only get it from a specific store.
Yep.
That specializes in this.
Oh,
And it is liquid.
and it's caffeine.
I didn't realize that it's caffeine. Honestly, I didn't. I don't know a lot
It
about
is.
this
Yeah.
this thing.
Very, very popular.
How do we?
Give me hot or cold. So it feels like
I would say I would have said cold. I didn't know it comes hot.
Yeah, you can get hot ones.
It sounds like a Twitch emote.
What?
What? How does that help?
I just don't want to get it wrong, but
I thought you were going to say, like,
this is so
it
hard.
rhymes with bomber, but, like...
I thought we like all agreed we were gonna
Gragas
do
would drink
easier
lots
ones.
of them.
Yeah, I mean, Kitty's
Gragas
evil.
would drink
Kitty's
lots of
evil.
this.
Gragas could have
okay.
a skin for it.
Yeah.
Okay, what's the name of the builder?
Bob. What?
Yeah.
One more letter to it. I don't even think he knows.
Boba. T.
Ah.
All right. See, I don't drink that shit, so I don't. That was the
Yeah.
last thing
You
I was
should have
thinking.
seen, though, the smile on her
Yeah,
face,
the-
like...
The thing with this is
He'll
you
never
have
get
to
this.
become Kitty to solve it, which is so tough.
Yeah, I was
Like,
thinking more generic.
Yeah. Because the last two were generic. This is.
You knew I was thinking McFlurry
is
though when
pretty
I asked
generic.
about
Yeah,
Oreo.
yeah.
I just said no
Boba.
before you even asked it.
We tried. How we doing for time? We can just like do one more, right?
Can we do one more?
Yeah, we'll do one more.
Oh.
We've only been here. I swear I've been working for 20 minutes. We will do one more. Skimmy, your
Rusty.
your
wait.
turn.
I haven't done
Oh.
it yet.
Skimmy hasn't
Skimmy
done
needs
one.
to do
Skimmy, do you need one of these?
I need a band.
Do you have the pen?
I got bands.
Bands.
There you go, Skimmy. Pass it to Rusty.
Do you want to write it, Mac, or do you want me to write
Who
it?
wants to write it?
Oh, yeah, I'll do one.
Yeah.
Matt
I'll
hasn't
do one.
done
huh?
one
feel like
yet.
you
Give
should
him
do
a
one.
chance.
Wee.
I'll be a passenger on this
Oh,
journey.
snack, huh? Mmm.
Oh,
Cover it.
I'm
Look,
thinking. Yeah, but I'm thinking.
I know everyone's had Ultra Giga Hard modes. Be nice.
Yeah, the first answer will be can be,
Yeah, and then I'm
Trying to
just
think
like,
of something
I'm
good.
walking off.
no matter what the
Look
question
the other
is.
way.
Oh, yeah. Stop looking at him.
Do you like this setup?
Won't even be visible on camera. You have to look down.
Lee Sin cosplay.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Oh my god, that laugh is not good. That laugh is not good.
I enjoy the part of seeing it for the first time and just like, oh no.
Yeah.
Or-
I feel like this
or,
isn't
oh, yes.
that hard. You
Okay.
could get
No, it's
pretty quick.
gettable.
Okay.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
yeah.
It is gettable.
Big
Oh
time.
yeah.
Am I savory?
Yes.
Yes, okay, I'm savory. Would I be considered protein?
Yes.
Yes.
It has protein in it,
Okay.
but you wouldn't.
You don't
Go
look at
to
it
it.
and say, that's protein.
Would I
yeah.
take this before going to the gym?
Definitely not.
No.
Unless you're Avril, Kevin
I
Stop
Avril.
like
giving
that.
him
I like
so
what
much
you're
answers.
thinking,
Just
though.
say
I'm just
no,
trying to get
just
into
say
his head,
no.
right?
Yeah. You're
No.
trying to channel Mac
Yeah, I'm
here.
trying to channel Mac energy. So I'm protein. Well, I have protein in it, you said?
Yep.
And I'm a snack.
Yes.
Am I a snack that will fill me up, or is this like bite size? Am I bite
For
size?
me, bite size.
For me,
For her,
full-time meal.
probably a meal.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah,
Different.
that tracks.
Am I Western cuisine?
Yes. Kind
Yes?
of. Yes.
Yes.
Just
So-
period.
Yes.
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 So Eastern cuisine? It like
No.
both countries?
No.
So you're Western.
Western.
Western. Okay.
Yeah.
That's hard. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's everywhere. It is everywhere.
Producer Helga.
Okay. Is this a fast food item then?
Yes.
Okay. Fast food item protein. Wow, goddamn.
Is it all of it?
That, it just opened up a whole brand new can of worms, hasn't it?
Savory.
Am I a burger?
Yes.
You are.
But not a... You're not just burger.
You're a burger.
You're more specified.
I'm a beef burger.
No.
Chicken
Close.
burger.
No. Well, that's two.
Wait,
I'll
no.
count burger as like all-encompassing.
Were you guessing as when you were saying those?
Yeah.
Or were you saying, does it contain those things?
No, I'm just saying, am I a chicken burger? Am I a beef burger?
No.
Okay.
But you're saying I am a burger.
You are a burger.
You're a burger.
What abomination gets anything other than those types of burgers?
I feel like that
remember
was a bit
that
mean.
Remember that line when you look at this.
Saying no to those felt a bit mean.
So I'm one of those types of burgers. It's going to be something so cheesy like, oh, I'm actually a chicken burger with bacon. Or like, I'm a beef burger with cheese.
You're
Oh,
so
really?
close. You're
A
so
beef
close.
burger with cheese?
Yeah.
I'm a Big Mac.
No!
What is a beef burger with
We'll
cheese
give you,
called?
We'll give you one more.
A cheeseburger.
Cheeseburger! You're like, oh, it's going to be something cheesy, isn't it? I was
No,
like,
because
yes.
I was trying to get in your head like, it's going to be Big Mac, like a play on words. And it's like, nah, it can't be that easy, but it could be.
I should have gone with Big Mac. I would have made sense.
Cheeseburger. Not bad.
Yeah, that
I
was
was
good.
thinking, I
I
was like,
enjoyed that.
cheeseburger. That's not a snack
That's a good one.
That
All
was
right.
good.
Depends
Who's
who
next?
asked, I guess.
That was fun.
for me.
By the
not.
way,
Yeah.
look, Rusty, you'll have your chance tomorrow. We'll do Max as well, maybe, unless
Yeah.
we hit him with the dumb pie again, which he just struggles
Yeah, we'll
with.
hit him with the exact same one if he's watching now.
Oh,
I'm just going to say pie.
Yeah.
Promise.
Zach Rusty pie.
You can, you
What
can
would
do
a
like
Zach
chicken
Rusty pie taste like? That's what I want to know. That's tomorrow's from the fans.
If you said could be, I would have lost it. You know when I said, is this Western food? You go, could be. I'd be like,
Certainly could be.
What
Certainly
is
could
on
be.
my
Question.
head?
That was a tough question.
By the way, that is it for Menu Log Meal Time today. That is it for day 2 of the playoffs. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us here on the LCO. Tomorrow, we are crowning one of the first teams to book tickets overseas. I'll see you then.
oh, here we go. Podron's fan, explosive cast that splits the team apart. Schoenfeld tries to hit back with that Cyclone, and it's successful because the Solar Flare goes down. There's the Naro into 2, but Chippies has flashed away and Schoenfeld survived. But Dongy's going to die again. Violet falls to cleanse, and PGG have been routed into the bottom lane. That's a flash Featherstorm to try and rip back and try and find more, and they will find just that. There's 2. That's a double fill and art. Make it a triple, actually.
Dongy. Going to be the star of the show.
And John Tappy looking for the knock-up, and he finds it successfully. There is a massive petrifying gate. That's Prelov locked in place for the meantime. Poltron jumps in with a Cyclone, getting absolute work done. He doesn't even die for it, Rusty. That's how strong he is. And there's a Realm Walk, and that's Violet with nowhere to go. Decoy with a beautiful bar